Round of applause for them. Thank you for coming. Kindly take your seats. Any member who has a petition to present to the House may please rise to do so. Any petitions? Honorable EJ, are you surrendering today? So there's no petition. We'll move on. Who? Ali Jesse. Okay.
So it's only EJC that can work. Mr. Speaker, I have a petition by Kainde, number 1, then Onyeka, 2, Iweze Rose, about 6 petitions against Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, NPC Fadama 2, and Federal Ministry of Agri. With your permission, Mr. Speaker, I lay the petition.
Are you done? Please proceed and lay the petition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Petition referred to Committee on Public Petitions. Point of order, Honorable Gaza.
Right Honorable Speaker, my name is Gaza Jonathan Bayfi. I represent the people of Karu, Kefi Kokona Federal Constituency. I rise under Order 804 to bring a matter of urgent public importance, and I also request that the House suspend relevant rules to allow me take it. Thank you.
But we don't know the matter now.
The matter of urgent public importance is the urgent need to investigate the recent issuance of licenses for fish importation into Nigeria. So move.
Okay. Honorable Gadaka, please second the motion. The matter is urgent.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I remain Honorable Ismail Ahmed Gadaka, member representing Fikafune Federal Constituency, Oyo State. I rise to second the motion heavily moved by my honorable colleague. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion that the matter is urgent, say aye. Those against it, say nay. Ayes have it. Second motion that we suspend our rules to enable him take it now. Honorable EJ Aboima.
Right, Honorable Speaker, and dear colleagues, I remain Honorable EJ Agwanyima, representing the good people of Ego Bubaka Federal Constituency, Edo State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to stand to support that all relevant rules be set aside for my friend, my brother, to take the urgent public importance. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Gaza, you can now move your motion.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My motion is the urgent need to investigate the recent issuance of licenses for fish importation into Nigeria. The House notes that in the last few years, Nigeria has gone through a recession, and as it surfaced, and this recovery can be largely attributed to the diversification of our economy, especially in the field of agriculture. The House further notes that fisheries, which is an important subsector of Nigerian agriculture, with the country being rich in perennial rivers such as the Plenary River, Niger, etc., and lakes like Kayenji and other dams and ponds, and has also attracted a large influx of fish farmers using latest technology, has led to an increase in fish production and employment. The House is also aware that in the past, a Minister of State for Agriculture, during a meeting with the Ijebu Initiative on Poverty Reduction, in Abuja, sometimes in August 2017, stated that the federal government will stop issuing fish importation quota to importers, saying the venture was no longer sustainable. Also aware that frantic calls have been made by various quarters, including these hollow chambers, to ban the importation of fish into the country, as it has negative effect on our economy and also on our health, as we cannot ascertain the total health status of all the fish imported into the country all the time. The House is worried that even with pronouncements by the federal government to ban fish importation in a bid to encourage local producers to support federal government diversification policy, licenses are still given to importers who have turned Nigeria into a dumping ground for all manner of fish. The House is further worried that if this trend continues, the gains that have been recorded by local fish farmers and employment that have been created will be lost. The House is disturbed that fish importation is not sustainable, and if the federal government does not urgently look into the matter and rescind its policy on the issuance of licenses for fish importation, it would continue to bring about backward integration in the nation, with people not being able to set up fish farms or employ and create jobs. The House therefore resolves to set up another committee to investigate all licenses granted for fish importation within the last 1 year, request the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and the Bank of Agriculture to provide incentives to local fish farmers that will boost up production, and lastly, that the ad hoc committee concludes the assignment within 2 weeks and report back to the House for further legislative action. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder? The Honorable Adekoya, relooting the loot.
Thank you, my distinguished Honorable Speaker, sir, and my honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Shegun Alexander Adekola, member representing Ekiti South Federal Constituency 1 of Ekiti State. I rise to second the motion, as ably moved by my friend, Honorable Jonathan Befi. I so second.
Okay, Honorable Gaza.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable colleagues, this motion is one that touches the nerve of each and every citizen of this country, owing to the fact that hardly do you have a country that goes through a recession and is able to rebound and come out strong. And this can be attributed to so many factors, which include the fact that our agricultural sector has been strengthened by way of policy. One of the things that makes an economy strong is when you ban importation and encourage local production, which will help your GDP at the end of the day. Now, this was taken, and fish production in Nigeria actually came up strong. You found out that from the traditional 1.2 to the traditional 700 to 800 metric tons of fish that was produced, within a year, Nigeria started producing about 1.5, an increase of about 800,000 metric tons of fish locally. And this, in fact, impacted positively on our economy and brought about employment. But, I mean, to our greatest dismay, statements that had been made by this government to see that fish importation comes to an end, so that indeed our local farmers can be strengthened, is being abused. What we have instead are licenses being issued and fish being poured into this country, thereby frustrating the local farmers. A typical example within the same agricultural sector is in the area of maize production. There was some sort of ban or restriction, and maize cultivation went very high. but a particular company was actually given a license to import maize. And what happened? Hundreds of metric tons were imported. Now, because of this excess influx, what happened to the cost of maize? And this is sometime the year 2017 going into 2018. The cost of maize crashed from 14,000 naira a bag to about 7,000 a bag because these people just brought in their maize and dumped it on our market. And what happened to our local producers that produced maize that year? There was nowhere to offload the maize, even with our rich population. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I want us to look at this very critically and actually do an investigation. It is high time that this House takes the responsibility of charting the economic recovery path for sustainable economic recovery of this nation. We cannot leave it in the hands of anyone. We've been elected as leaders to represent our people from our various polling units to our various wards and our local governments and federal constituencies. The honor beholds on us to make sure we stand up to the challenge. And I believe this would definitely be a step in the right direction. Things that we can produce locally, there is no need importing them whatsoever. We should make sure, we should take steps that countries that were going through recessions took, close their borders, adequately, strategically, to make sure that we produce locally, look inwardly, live Nigerially, and make sure that our economy rebounds as it ought to. We are providing jobs and above all, guaranteeing safe and healthy foods for our people to eat. On this note, I so move that the Honorable House kindly support this motion so that we can get the necessary intervention that is required. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Lasun Yusuf. I represent the Repodun Oloruga, Orolu Osogbo Federal Constituency. I'm from the state of Osun. Mr. Speaker, I rise to speak this morning on this matter. Though it looks very simple, but it goes to the heart of our economy. And because my interest has always been in agriculture, education and science, any matter in this direction will attract my attention. Just about 1 month ago, I wanted to build a dam in one of my farm sites. That was the first time as an engineer that I discovered that the machine that will do that job for me is what we call the swan boogie in engineering. Swan boogie is a machine that can always work, in a watery environment or in the water. It does the job of an excavator, but it can only do that in the marshy area. And I discovered that in the whole of Nigeria, you have just 10 swan boogie located in Lagos, and it's mostly used by dredgers. Mr. Speaker, why is this very necessary? In a country of about, let me conservatively say we are 100 million people, because I'm a mathematician, I want to be careful with figure. In a country of about 100 million people, for example, and with fish need of 4 million metric tons, and we are currently producing 1.2 million metric tons. So there's a shortfall of about 2.8 million metric tons. And the machines that are even going to be deployed, if you want to go into fish farming, particularly to start building your own dams, for 100 million people, in the whole of this country, you have just 10 of them located in Lagos. Then you begin to wonder, is it our policy that is wrong, or we don't even understand what we are trying to do? My answer is simple. We don't understand what we are doing. We only pretend to the outside world that we know what we are doing. Farming is capital intensive. There are so many farmers on this place. Farming is capital intensive. If you go to US and UK, where the issue of subsidy started in those days, in 19th century. Subsidy emanated from an attempt to support the farmers, because the way we have handled farming in Nigeria can never, one, get us to the promised land of being able to feed ourselves. That's the first one. The second one is, I doubt if we'll be able to attain that height of being able to export any of our agricultural produce. Forget about the fact that yam are being taken to seaports for exportation. But do we have enough to eat back at our different houses? The answer is no. So I'm contributing this money for that first reason. The second reason is, it is painful, Mr. Speaker, that we have the kind of farmers we have in Nigeria. And you will know that when you go to commercial bank to want to take loan, loan is taken at probably an interest rate of 22%. The BOI one or the Bank of Agriculture one is taken for 10%. Mr. Speaker, I start to be corrected. Not even the gate of this world can convince me that anybody can take loan to do any business at all and make profit and be able to sustain a loan that is given at 10% interest rate. Not to talk about 22, not to talk about 28. Nowhere in the world you can take loan and do business and pay back and maintain the interest of 9%. So that is the second reason. The third one is, where are the policies to generate all these things that we are talking about? So I'm contributing because I feel pained that as a farmer, I can see them on my left hand side here. Wase is here, Moguno is here, then the speaker himself. Yes, I just is a baby farmer. But, Mr. Speaker, let's face facts. A lot of people are interested in farming, be it fish, be it cash crop, be it arable crop, be it cattle rearing. People are interested, but not at the level that is being practiced now. Not. I've just read out the statistics that the fish requirement of Nigeria is 4 million metric tons. And we are producing 1.2 million metric tons. And so we have almost 3 million metric tons shortfall. And so it is not a question about giving licenses to people. That is the gap that those who give licenses, that is the gap they always see in an attempt to cover up, that they do. Because we still need to eat fish. Fish is one of the best protein source you can have. So, Mr. Speaker, my contribution this morning is just to awaken those of us who are the corridor of powers, and most especially the executive. I know as legislator, the only thing we can do is just to talk. And probably, if the atmosphere is conducive, make bills that can make things better. But in the era of bill, what do you call it now? In the era of when bill are being returned to the house with the speed of light, to borrow the language of Osai. Some of us want Nigeria to develop. And any country that wants to develop must first of all be able to feed itself. People don't know that power does not lie in the weapons of war. Power lies in two things. Populace that is not hungry. People who have job to do. Those are the two security things. When you have them, it becomes easy to govern your country. When people are not hungry, when people have economic power. Those are the two things that will safeguard anything. Atomic bomb, war machinery, those things do not guard against war. Those are the two major things: economic power and ability of the country to feed its populace. So, Mr. Speaker, I align with the removal of the motion, and I want to pray that those who are giving the licenses, as they are giving the licenses by the left hand, they should try try as much as possible to write policy that will encourage farmers. You can't say completely that they should not give, but when they are given the licenses with the left hand, they should write policies and follow it up. And let me finally say this before I go and sit down. In all the books I've read about economy, in all the books, and I stand to be corrected, there is no country in the world where banks will revolutionize industrialization. No way. Banks do not do that. Banks are set up majorly to make profit. And so when you have a profit venture, you cannot be giving out loan at an interest rate of 2 or 1.5%, which is being done in other clients. What revolutionizes industrialization in any country is the deliberate effort of the government by way of having good policies and by making sure that every aspect of our life is subsidized. Not petroleum subsidy now. I'm not talking about petroleum subsidy. I'm talking particularly about agriculture, education, and science. Once you don't subsidize those 3 areas of our economy, we cannot develop. And agriculture is the most important, and agriculture should take the behind position. In fact, agriculture should be subsidized as much as 60%. That is when we can have an inroad into what is called an economy. So our policy makers will cease to depend on banks. Banks cannot turn around anything. They can't. It's either they do that cheaply, buy dollars and sell dollars, because at the end of the day, the books are clear. They want to make their billions. So government must deliberately, by way of policy, by way of subsidy, and I want to clarify, subsidize agriculture, subsidize education. And in fact, when you subsidize the two, you improve on your research capacity. And finally, science and tech. Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Acting Rules and Business Chairman.
Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Abdurazak Labdas. I represent the people of Ganye, Jada, Tongoma, Ebelwa. I am from Adamawa State, Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, I also want to align myself with the previous speaker and then the member of the motion. But I want to start by saying that it is a recognition of the fact that there is need to have a good economy. That this government decided to invest so much on the diversification of the economy by paying attention to agriculture. I want to say on record, Mr. Speaker, that this government decided to reduce or stop the importation of rice so that we can be able to boost production of rice locally. And that has actually improved. If you go to campus today, it is a very good example to realize that our farmers have not only boosted the economy, but farming, but even their income has actually increased. We have had records this year that a lot of them have approached banks and have been able to get loans. And apart from the issue of rice, I agree with him that just as we did with the issue of rice by banning importation, increase local production, there is also need to stop or reduce the issuance of licenses anyhow. Because the move of the motion stated clearly that before it was the licenses were abused and the production increased by 100% because we were having about 800 metric tons and it boosted to about 1.5 million metric tons. That means it has actually increased as a result of the activities of the farmers. But by issuing the licenses anyhow, now it has actually dropped. That means just the way we did with the agriculture, by stopping money importation, increase local production, we should actually caution that those responsible for issuing these licenses not to just issue, because lots of people will just get it just to be dumping some of the fishes in our country. And we have had reports where we also have to be cautious that there are certain people that use this fish and dump into certain rivers for insurgents. I know that in Zamfara there was a case where fish were dumped in certain river, and most of the people that even ate that fish, a lot of them died as a result of that. So I think even those that are importing the fish, we should be sure of which kind of fish that has been imported in Nigeria. So, Mr. Speaker, I align myself with the mover of the motion that there should not indiscriminate issuance of licenses so as to boost the production of fish in Nigeria. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Acting Whip. Okay, I'll come to the chairman of agriculture.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Sunday Adekoju, representing the Barakwa East and Indo Federal Constituency of Oyo State. I stand here to speak in favor of the motion ably raised by my friend, not because he's my friend, but because of the interest I have in it for me and Nigeria. Why do we give something with right hand and at the same time taking it with left hand? It's like we are speaking from both sides of our mouth. We want self-sufficiency in food production. We are encouraging our young graduates, either secondary school or university or polytechnic graduates, to go into farming. And many of them use their life savings to go into fishing. At the end of the day, they don't have market because they cannot compete with people that are given license to go and import. Like my other colleague said, if that's the way we want to go, why do we ban the importation of rice? If we are talking that we need more than enough, we need about 4,000 or 4 metric tons of fish in Nigeria. Why can't we now give license to people to be importing cows because we need more meat? Why can't we give license to our people to be importing chicken? Why can't we give them license to be importing vegetable oil and importing palm oil? If we want to develop and want to cater for ourselves, it's better we ban it. We may suffer a bit. At the end of the day, Nigeria start to gain. When the importation of rice was banned, you see the relationship that exists between Lagos and Kebbi in terms of rice production. The same thing will happen in the fishing industry. If that one is done, that will be better. You cannot expect my brother in the village that I'm encouraged to go into farming with my life savings and are taking loan, and you now say some people will be given license to be importing fish. That is not okay. We are not helping the economy to grow. The best thing to do is complete banning of importation of fish and fishery items into this country. Within 1 year of ban, you will see Nigeria will be sufficiently producing enough fish for our people. In the light of this, I rise and I speak again to support the motion as heavily moved by Honorable Gaza. I so move, sir. Support, sir.
Honorable Osai,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. Honorable Osai Nicholas Osai is my name. I represent the local Plenary Federal Constituency of Delta State. Mr. Speaker, I want to really adopt the submission of the Deputy Speaker of this great chamber. In adopting his submission, I want us to separate two things. One, are there a shortfall on the market needs of fish in this country? Now, do we have a national plan to fill in the gaps where there was a shortfall? I think those are issues for determination. And probably that's the reason why this motion is an investigative motion. So in discussing it, we should be sending a message to the committee that we form at the end of the day. One, if there are needs, because it's a needs factor. If the demand is greater than supply, if the demand of the fish is greater than supply, that means there's a shortfall somewhere. Do we need to fill the gap within a period of 5 years to be able to generate that tie that can enable Nigerians to meet up with the fish demand of Nigeria? Because even when you are suggesting ban,
You are suggesting ban for the local industry to thrive. If the local industry to thrive, we represent the masses. Are they going to suffer because the local industry wants to thrive? Those are questions for determination. So in considering this issue, and that's why I'm happy that the motion is an investigative motion, that the committee of the House will be able to unravel the total demand of our country and be able to spread it, say, in the next 5 years, with the current money that the federal government has marked through the CBN of 200 billion. Where is it going to? What kind of industry this 200 billion is going to? Is this money going to the fish industry? Is this money going to another manufacturing industry? The National Assembly should be able to interface. The National Assembly should be able to interface with the appropriate executive quarter to be able to do this national development planning in achieving these goals. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, I am in support of this motion because this motion will unravel a lot of issues. And to start with, policy formulation starts from the House. Because if the House is to interface and plan, I think whatever that is going to come out outcome of this investigative motion, the House will be able to use it to plan. How do we plan? We say we are the power of the purse. The power of the purse, probably, if we want the agricultural sectors to grow well, this is what they mark, and make sure that such policies are followed up. I think that's the complete issue, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. So I urge every member to support this motion. But since this motion, prayers is not talking about ban. Since this prayer is not also talking about exclusion in all sectors. And this motion is talking that you want to investigate, unravel, and bring out the data that are necessary for policy formulation in this nation. So on this ground, Mr. Speaker, I wholeheartedly support this motion and urge honorable members to support this motion with the speed of light that is required. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
We'll take from the chairman, then Honorable Rajit.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Mumuno. I represent Marte Mumuno, Ganzai Federal Constituency of Borno State. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, it is true that there is very huge deficit with regard to our requirement in our production, hence the importation. But what I want this House to know is that over the years, the fisheries subsector has been subjected to a series of neglect by successive governments, because successive governments are giving priority more to animal and crop production compared to the fisheries subsector. As a result, there is huge deficit in our requirement, and then that brought about the need for importation. Yes, again, it is true that the Federal Ministry of Agriculture has issued licenses for the importation of fish to this country because in order to fill the gap in our requirement. But I want to also report to this honorable House that steps are being taken to phase out completely fish importation within the next 2 years. And because of that, local production is being encouraged to lift off the local production so that eventually the importation of fish will be a thing of the past. So in the next 2 years, there is a deliberate policy that in the next 2 years, there will be no licenses issued for fish importation. And before that time, local production would have been lifted off to meet our domestic requirement. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I support this motion so that the circumstances leading to this importation of fish will be unraveled and then fish importation will be stopped. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So we don't have Chairman Agricultural Production. I was wondering if we have specific buffers that have been provided for the local producers of fish. And in the course of your assignment, have you ever run into a demonstration fish farm by the Ministry of Agriculture?
Well, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, what I mean by, sorry, I was unable to explain the deliberate policy was put in place for the purpose of meeting the local requirement. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, one of the problems is that we are unable to exploit our fisheries resources in our territorial waters. As a result, it is the Chinese and other foreigners that are coming to exploit it. The Nigerian Institute of Marine Research and Oceanography has acquired the necessary technology trawlers that will go give for the purpose of exploitation of our fisheries resources in our territorial waters. And also there is a deliberate policy of training and empowerment of our youth and women in aquaculture. Deliberate policy of training and empowerment of our youth and women in aquaculture. And I've even invited a lot of my colleagues to apply for that program so that their constituents will benefit in the training and empowerment of youth and women in aquaculture, whereby they will train them and also give them the necessary startup packs. These are some of the deliberate policies that were put in place now for the purpose of meeting of our local requirement in fish production. Mr. Speaker, if I've answered your question.
This is the last one that you didn't answer. Whether you've run into any demonstration fish farm run by the Ministry of Agriculture in the course of your oversight.
Now, Mr. Speaker, the answer is in the negative. I'm not running to answer.
Okay. Honorable Raji.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Wale Raji. I represent a federal constituency of Lagos State. Now, the subject of this motion is very important and strategic in our effort at diversifying the economy of the country. There is no doubt that there is a huge gap between demand and supply of fish and fish products in the country. And you will recall that about 6 months ago, sometime last year, a similar motion was moved on the floor of this house by me, calling for a phased ban on importation of fish and fish products. That motion was passed, and the Committee on Agriculture was mandated to handle the motion. We are yet to know the outcome of action taken by the committee. So now that this motion is coming, I think it's a wake-up call on the Committee on Agricultural Production to look into this matter again, and prefer solution. I want to say that the gap between demand and supply of fish in this country has been with us for a very long time. But unfortunately, probably because of the fraud and corruption within the system, we have continued to encourage importation of fish rather than creating the necessary conducive environment for fish farmers, to operate profitably in this country. As we speak, from my experience as an administrator within the agricultural sector before my election into this house, I know that much as we talk about this gap between demand and supply, many of the fish farmers in this country, they still operate at loss, simply because rather than encouraging the local farmers, the licenses we continue to issue to the importers of fish is creating problems for the local fish producers. I therefore will support any action that would discourage the continued issuance of licenses, so that if the right environment is created our farmers will be challenged and they will be able to fill the gap because we have local capacity to meet our fish needs in this country. I therefore, Mr. Speaker, support the motion as moved by my colleague, Honorable Gaza. So that's my submission, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Okay, Honorable Sergeant has surrendered the floor. Any other contribution? Otherwise, I'll put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. We move on to the first business of the day, which is presentation of report of the Ad Hoc Committee on the Establishment of National Assembly Legislative Museum and Archives. Standing in the name of Honorable Sam Onuibo, honorable members will recall that the matter was referred to the committee on Tuesday, 13 February 2018. The report is ready for presentation. Honorable Onuibo is now invited to present it.
Yes. Sir.
Oh, okay, so you are presenting on his behalf?
Yes.
Okay, Honorable Joseph Odanwele will now present on behalf of Onuibo.
Honorable Speaker, colleagues, I'm Honorable Joseph Odanwele, representing Eastern West, Eastern Central, and Igwebe Federal Constituency. Another committee on the establishment of National Museum, Legislative Museum and Archives. That the House do receive the report of the Ad Hoc Committee on the establishment of National Assembly Legislative Museum and Archives. I ask the Speaker to allow me to relay the report. I so move.
If you are presenting a report, you won't read it. If you move to lay it, you will take it, and they will schedule it for presentation, for consideration. Thereafter, you can give a synopsis of the report. So I will recognize Honorable Iduma Igarwe to second, and then you come and lay the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Igariwe Iduma Emu. I represent Africa North Africa South Federal Constituency. I'm from Ebonyi State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion as heavily moved. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Second business of the day is presentation of the report of the Committee on Internally Displaced Persons, Refugees and Initiatives on Northeast Zone on need to address the planned repatriation of Nigerian refugees from Cameroon, standing in the name of Honorable Mohammed Sani Zoro. Honorable members will recall the matter was referred to the committee on Thursday, 26 April 2018. The report is ready for presentation. Honorable Zoro is now invited to present the report. Chairman, Rules and Business, it appears Honorable Zoro is now on the floor.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, may I rise to move that we step down this report because of the absence of Honorable Sani Zoro. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Item stepped down by leave of the House. Third business of the day is presentation of 10 reports of the Committee on Public Petitions, standing in the name of Honorable Uzoma Nkema Bonta. Honorable Bonta is now invited to present the reports. Honorable Bonta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Uzoma Nkema Bonta. Mr. Speaker, may I present for the House Constitution the report from public petition as contained in order paper item 3, Mr. Speaker, down 4, 5, item 6, 7, 8, 9, Mr. Speaker, 10 and 11 to 12 as contained in order paper. These are the reports of the Committee on Constitution. I pray and that I be allowed to lay the reports on the table.
move for the entire reports?
Speaker, I so moved.
Oh. Any seconder? Honorable Goni Bukar.
Right, Honorable Speaker, Yakubu Dogara, Initiator of Northeast Development Commission. My name is Honorable Goni Bukar Lawan, member representing Bulsari, Gaidam Yunusari. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm from Yobe State. I rise to second the motion heavily moved by Honorable Abota. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Abota, please proceed and lay the reports. First order of the day is the third reading of the bill for an act to repeal the Nigeria Postal Service Act, Chapter N127, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and establish the Nigeria Postal Commission to make comprehensive provisions for the development and regulation of postal services and for related matters. Honorable members will recall that the House adopted the report of Committee of the Whole on the bill on Thursday, 11th April 2018. Therefore, call on the leader of the House to move that the bill be now read the third time. Leader.
Honorable Speaker, respected colleagues. Okay. I ask you that the bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Postal Service Act, Cap 17, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and establish the Nigerian Postal Commission to make comprehensive provisions for the development of regulations of postal services and for related matters to take a third time. I so move.
Rules of business.
Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, may I rise to second the motion as moved by the leader of the House. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion, honorable colleagues, the question is that the bill be now read the third time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, the bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Postal Service Act, Cap N127, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and establish the Nigerian Postal Commission to make comprehensive provision for the development and regulation of postal services and for related matters. Third reading.
Bill read the third time and passed. Second order of the day, honorable colleagues, the third reading of a bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Law Reform Commission Act, Chapter N118, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Nigerian Law Reform Commission Bill to facilitate the effective implementation of the Commission's law reform proposals and enhance its performance. And for related matters, honorable members will recall that the House adopted the report of Committee of the Whole on the bill on Thursday, 11th April 2018. I therefore call on the leader of the House to move that the bill be now read the third time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Speaker, I rise to move for a bill that a bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Law Reform Commission Act, Cap N118, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Nigerian Law Reform Commission Bill to facilitate the effective implementation of the Commission's law reform proposals and enhance its performance. And for related matters, HB 1577, we read it third time. I so move.
Deputy Leader.
Honorable Speaker, sir, I rise to second the motion as moved by the leader of the House. I so support.
Honorable colleagues, the question is the bill be now read the third time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Now invite the clerk to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, the bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Law Reform Commission Act, Cap N118, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and now the Nigerian Law Reform Commission Bill to facilitate the effective implementation of the Commission's law reform proposals and enhance its performance and for related matters. Third
bill read the third time and passed. Fourth order of the day, honorable colleagues, the third reading of bill for an act to establish Chartered Institute of Auctioneers, provide for the control of its membership and promote the practice of auctioneers in Nigeria and for matters connected therewith. Honorable members will recall that the House adopted the report of the Committee of the Whole on the bill on Tuesday, 9th April 2018. I therefore call on the Leader of the House to move that the bill be now read the third time.
I just wanted to know.
Once again, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise to move that a bill for an act to establish the Council of the Regulation of Travel and Tour Management Companies of Nigeria, provide for the registration of persons who, by way of business, negotiate for or otherwise act in relation to selling of travel and tour services on behalf of the transport carriers to facilitate carried by air, rail, or road of passengers and for the control, regulation, and orderly development of passenger travel distribution in Nigeria and for related matters, HB 1321 read the first time.
Deputy Leader.
Honorable Speaker, sir, I rise to second the motion as moved by the Leader of the House.
For further deliberation.
Adjourned debate, second reading. So this second reading, why is it?
It's bringing because finish on, but there were issues for determination. So it was based on that. No, that's the way it's about. Issue for determination, they not constituted 3-man committee. So it was same that we report and lay it. But it's supposed to have more than one report. Print at least 20 copies. Within the state time, get more copies. So that it will distribute the whole review report. So you are not taking it. Definitely.
Honorable colleagues, the question is that the bill will now read the third time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
I will tell you why you shouldn't debate it. That's the experience you learn about.
Honourable Speaker, honourable members, the bill for now to establish the Charter Institute of Auctioneers to provide for the control of its membership and promote the practice of auctioneers in Nigeria and for matters connected therewith. Third reading.
So if you people can present on this, we cannot call up for the report. Just be down.
Bill read the third time and passed. Sorry, honorable colleagues, I jumped to order 3 and we'll take it now. We will just went to 4th directly, to the 4th order. So we're back to the 3rd order, which is the 3rd reading of the bill for an act to establish the Council for the Regulation of Travel and Tour Management Companies of Nigeria, provide for the registration of persons who, by way of business, negotiate for or otherwise act in relation to selling of travel and tour services on behalf of transport carriers to facilitate carriage by air, rail, and road of passengers and for the control, regulation, and orderly development of passenger travel distribution in Nigeria and for related matters. Honorable members will recall that the House adopted the report of Committee of the Whole on the bill on Tuesday, 9th April 2018. I therefore call on the Leader of the House to move that the bill be now read the 3rd time. I think there's a mistake. It's Tuesday, 9th April 2019, not 2018, please.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise to move for a bill for an act to establish the Council for the Regulation of Travel and Tour Management Companies of Nigeria, provide for the registration of persons who, by way of business, negotiate for or otherwise act in relation to selling of travel and tour services on behalf of it, transport carriers to facilitate carried by air, rail, or road of passengers and for the control, regulation, and orderly development of passenger travel distribution in Nigeria and for related matters, HB 1321 be read the first time.
Deputy Leader.
Honorable Speaker, sir, I rise to second the motion as moved by the Leader of the House.
Honorable colleagues, the question is the bill we now read the 3rd time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honourable Speaker, honourable members, the bill for now to establish the Council for the Regulation of Travel and Tour Management Companies of Nigeria, provide for the registration of persons who, by way of business, negotiate for or otherwise act in relation to selling of travel and tour services on behalf of transport carriers to facilitate carriage by air, rail, or road of passengers and for control, regulation, and orderly development of passenger travel distribution in Nigeria, and for related matters, tour trading.
Bill read the third time and passed. Fifth order of the day is the third reading of Bill for an Act to amend the Federal Polytechnics Act, Chapter F, 17 Laws of Federation of Nigeria 2004, to establish the Federal Polytechnics, Fagge, Kano State, provide opportunities for technical education in furtherance of government economic objective of ensuring an effective, dynamic, self-reliant economy for related matters. Honourable members will recall the House adopted the report of the Committee of the Whole on the bill Tuesday, April 9, 2019. I therefore call on the Leader of the House to move that the bill be now read the third time.
Honourable Speaker, sir, I rise to move that bill for an act to amend the Federal Polytechnic Act F17 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 to establish the Federal Polytechnic Fagge, Kano State, to provide opportunities for technical education in furtherance of government economic objectives of ensuring an effective, dynamic, and self-reliant economy, and for related matters related to that time. I so move.
You are not there. Honourable MT, please second.
Okay. Honourable Speaker, honourable members, my name is Mohamed Taib. I represent Martin Munoz, the Federal Constituency of Borno State. I hereby second the third reading of the bill as moved by the Deputy Leader of the House.
Honourable colleagues, the question is that the bill be now read the third time. Those in favour of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
I need to talk to you. I'm not happy.
Honourable Speaker, honourable members, the bill for now to amend the Federal Polytechnic Act, Chapter F17 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to establish the Federal Polytechnic Fagge, Kano State, provide opportunities for technical education in furtherance of government economic objective of ensuring an effective, dynamic, and self-reliant economy, and for related matters.
Okay, I was wondering. And I won't lie to you, I swear. I was like,
Bill read the third time and passed. But they need to. Seventh order of the day is resumption of debate on the general principles of Bill for an Act to establish the Federal Polytechnic Kaltungo, Gombe State, and for related matters. Honourable members will recall that on Wednesday, 10th April 2019, debate on the bill was adjourned to enable the Committee on Rules and Business examine the provisions of the bill vis-a-vis the Federal Polytechnic Duku Bill. Honourable Edward Pajok is invited to brief the House on the matter. Honourable Pajok. Chairman, Rules and Business, we are waiting on you, please.
Right, Honorable Speaker, on this item number 7 on the act, on the bill to bring an act to establish the Polytechnic Kaltungo, we discovered in my committee that there is no similar bill here. Rather, it's from another one in another part of Gombe State, which has been passed and sent to the Senate for concurrence. This one is a bill sponsored by Senator Lidani from the Senate, which is seeking the concurrence of the House. So since there's no similar bill, I don't think there's any impediment to us considering this bill. There's no conflict at all, Mr. Speaker. So I propose that we continue the second reading of the bill. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder? Honorable Binta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I raise the second motion as moved by the House, by the Chairman House Rules and Business, that the second reading of establishment of Federal Polytechnic Kaltungo be taken on the floor. I so second.
So, who is leading us now? The continuation, okay. Deputy Leader.
Honorable Speaker, respected colleagues, thank you for giving us this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, like it was given to us in the preamble by the Chairman, House Rules and Business, this is a very clear and straightforward bill coming from the Senate for the purpose of establishing Polytechnic Kaltungo, and in order to increase and enhance our learning capacity for our children and those who are willing to acquire technical knowledge. It is important that we continuously, as a country, establish such kind of institutions so that we get to the promised land. Mr. Speaker, respected colleagues, I want to believe that by the number of those out of school children we have in Nigeria, no amount of institution shall put in place that for now should be sufficient. And it is in light of that I beg my colleagues, respected members of this parliament, to allow this bill to be read the second time and so that I can see the light of the day. This is very important. It is for all those who could be proud of their own nation to have this institution established. Thank you very much, sir. These are my submissions.
So, anyone who wants to contribute to the debate? Or I'll put the question. The question is the bill be now read the second time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Head order of the day, honorable colleagues. Pardon? Oh, so sorry. I now invite the clerk to read the long title of the bill.
Honourable Speaker, members, the bill for now to establish the Federal Polytechnic Kaltungo, Gombe State, and related matters. Second reading.
Be referred to Committee of the Whole. Honorable colleagues, I'm sorry I jumped the sixth order, and because it's an important bill, we'll go back to take it and then proceed.
Order.
So,
Order, please.
Reversing the order in which I've taken this.
Silence.
The sixth order of the day, honorable colleagues,
Silence, honorable members,
reading of the bill for an act to establish the National Institute for Educational Planning and Administration to provide, among other things, for its functions and other matters relating to educational planning, the administration in Nigeria, and for related matters. Honorable members will recall that the House adopted the report of Committee of the Whole on the bill on Tuesday, 9 April 2019. I therefore call on the Leader of the House to move that the bill be now read the third time. Leader, you go back to the 6th order, please. We skipped it. 6th order, which is third reading of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, sir, I ask to read for an act to establish the National Institute for Educational Planning and Administration to provide, among other things, for its functions and other matters related to education planning and administration in Nigeria, and for related matters related. Third time, I so moved.
Honorable MT.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I hereby second third reading of the bill as moved by the Deputy Leader of the House. Third reading.
Honorable colleagues, the question is that the bill be now read the third time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, the bill for now to establish the National Institute for Educational Planning and Administration to provide, among other things, for its functions under matters related to educational planning and administration in Nigeria and for related matters. Third reading.
Bill read the third time and pass. The 8th order of the day is resumption of debate on the general principles of bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Forensic and Investigative Auditors of Nigeria for effective regulation, registration of members, and determination of what knowledge and skills that a practitioner is required to attain in order to qualify to practice as a forensic and investigative auditor, and for related matters. Honorable members will recall that on Thursday, 11th April 2019, debate on the bill in relation to the application of forensic auditors in other jurisdictions. I take that again. Honorable members will recall that on Thursday, 11th April 2019, debate on the bill was adjourned, and a three-man committee constituted to study the bill in relation to the application of forensic auditors in other jurisdictions and report to the House. And I invite Honorable Igarwe Duma Enwo to brief the House on the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My respected colleagues, my name is Honorable Igarwe Duma Enwo. I represent the good people of Afikpo North, Afikpo South Federal Constituency. I'm from Ebonyi State. Mr. Speaker, as you rightly pointed out, the general principles of this bill was debated on the 11th of April and adjourned to today for us to examine the provisions of the bill vis-a-vis the practice in other jurisdictions. Mr. Speaker, in the course of our work, we formulated 3 issues for resolution. The first issue is, do we have similar bodies that deal with forensic and investigative auditing in other jurisdictions? Mr. Speaker, the answer to this is in the affirmative. The profession of forensic auditors exists in some Commonwealth countries, such as the United Kingdom, Canada, Zimbabwe, Ghana, South Africa, and Australia. They also exist in other countries, such as the United States, Belgium, and Germany. So, Mr. Speaker, it's safe to say that this is global practice. The second issue we try to resolve is whether this institute of forensic auditors exists in other jurisdictions and whether they are affiliated to their national accounting bodies. Mr. Speaker, the answer is in the negative. We were able to establish a bifurcation between core accounting bodies and emerging forensic and investigative bodies. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, and perhaps the most important, is the legal status of forensic and investigative bodies in the various jurisdictions which we covered. Mr. Speaker, it is trite to state here that different countries have different approaches to legalizing, regulating, and certifying professional bodies, regardless of their nature. Mr. Speaker, in the United States and North America and European countries, the responsibility and power to enact laws for professional bodies belongs to specific agencies of government, not the national parliament. Thus, in the USA, for example, professional accounting bodies do not have enabling legislation, whereas in Nigeria, the power and responsibility lies with the National Assembly, as clearly spelled out in Section 4, Item 49 of the exclusive legislative list of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, we came to the conclusion that it is generally agreed and compelling that there is a global determination to root out corruption and fraud. And this has led to the emergence of forensic and investigative bodies in many countries of the world. That said, the forensic and investigative bodies in other jurisdictions which form the subject of our investigation do not enjoy legislative flavor, but are registered with their national corporate affairs commissions or their equivalents. Mr. Speaker, that's the conclusion of the assignment we were given. I so submit. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Pardon? No, I hear some, but not all. So, all I had, which is the most important, is that they have given us a clean bill of health to continue with the debate. So I now pardon? Okay, are you more professional than the committee of three?
Just let me say what I want to say. Don't
okay,
worry about
yes.
the professional. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm not talking from a professional point of view. I'm only saying that, yes, we have a clean bill to go ahead with this bill, but let me, because I've read their reports, in between the distribution of the report about 10 minutes ago, I've taken time to read the report because I watched it on NTA Parliament yesterday, the debate on the forensic matter, and it was interesting. And I just decided within myself that when I get to the floor today, I'm going to see how it goes. Now, from that debate and from the report that was distributed some 10 minutes ago, there are so many lacunae there. And I will start by saying, I'm not biased, but I just want to state my side. One, let's define audit. Audit from this dictionary says an official inspection of an organization account, typically by an independent body. Audit can be expected to detect, can't be expected to detect fraud. So that can be one of the reasons why you need forensic examination. There is another definition of audit, which says a systematic review or assessment of something, a complete audit of something. So which means audit in this case, from the report, is that it does not refer to accounting alone. So I agree, that's the first premise. That is established. But the second premise that I don't want us to fall into the hole is that you don't have to use the word audit in the context the bill is trying to use it. That is my ground. If you say forensic investigative accounting thing, that is correct. Let us find a way of having a bill. Mr. Speaker, this is important. The word audit in that particular bill will so malangu the accounting profession. No, don't. When I finish, you can. I support a bill that will do a forensic examination, because I remember in 2007 when we took our case to the tribunal in Osun governorship, we hired the services of a forensic expert, and that was to the late memory of Adrian Forty. He was a forensic expert. forensic is a profession that belongs to so many professions. Science. Yes, I didn't want to call the attention of the speaker because this thing is important. I want the debate to go on. So establish that. I want the fact that audit does not apply to accounting alone. That is established true. But what is confusing in that bill is that if you pass the way it is, audit in that context is in the context of the accountants. So what I want that bill to do at this stage is to find a way of having a separate bill on forensic investigation that will cover all other areas, not an arm of an accountant trying to set up a bill that will not do forensic accounting, which other profession might not be able to use. It can be synonymous. In this case, whatever public hearing that has been done on that particular bill must be with the involvement of scientists, technologists, engineers, accountants, lawyers. And I've made an example of when we went to governorship tribunal in 2007 in Osun, when we hired the services of a forensic expert. In that case, it was a foreigner, Hydraforty, that came to testify on our behalf. And what did he do? He just to examine the ballot papers, the serial number of the ballot papers, whether there were overvotings, whether the serial number conformed. And in fact, it was the first time as a politician that I got to know that each polling unit in Nigeria is attached with specific ballot paper numbers. And that is simply auditing. So in this case, Mr. Speaker, the debate can only go on if we remove auditing from it. You can call it forensic accounting, but when it is forensic in the global sense, all other professions must be involved. And that means there will be content of that bill that will refer to lawyers, engineers, technologists, and the rest of them, and even accountants. Or accountants can even come, the ICANN and of this world can come and put a forensic accounting in their own amendment. It does not mean that forensic bill cannot still be done. It can be done. But the way it is being done, the promoters of this bill are accountants. Mr. Speaker, the promoters of this bill as of today are accountants. And from this report, if you read through it, Mr. Speaker, I've read it. Outside the first page, that is trying to justify forensic auditing. All other pages were referring to forensic accounting. This report, the first page, and when you use the word financial forensic auditing interchangeably with forensic accounting, then there will be confusion. So that is the report you have read. If you are controverting what I've just said, you just let us know. But here, apart from the first page, that says forensic auditing exists somewhere. All other pages, about 4 pages, were mentioning forensic accounting. And so, Mr. Speaker, we can continue the debate, but we have to separate the word audit from the current bill. To either mean forensic accounting, or you have forensic auditing, where no other members of the House will controvert the fact that forensic auditing now will now refer to all other professions according to the definition from the dictionary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I don't know, first of all, the chairman of that committee of 3, Honorable Igarwe, is there a response? You have listened to him.
It's very clear. We worked within the terms of reference given to us. Your assignment was very clear. Let us find out what is happening in other jurisdictions. And we were able to find out that, yes, we have forensic institutions in other places, associations in other climes. And we stated both in Commonwealth countries, in the United States, in the United Kingdom. Then we tried to find out whether they belong to accounting bodies of those different countries. And we found out clearly that there's a bifurcation. We have accounting bodies there, and then we have these forensic bodies existing differently. And the third step we took was to see whether in those other countries they have any parliamentary flavor. Are there products of their parliaments? Because that, I think, is at the core of the disputation we have. And what we found out is that they don't actually emanate from their parliaments. And that is because different countries have different systems. Like in the United States, even the accounting body, the equivalent of ICANN, is not a product of Congress. In the United States, not a product of Congress. There is an agency of government that has the duty of registering some of these associations. So that was what we were able to find out, that they are not actually children of the parliament in these other countries. So in our own case here, we have the power, if we want, as we stated, under Section 4 of our Constitution, or Item 49 of the exclusive legislative list, to say, yes, let this association become a product of parliament. We can do that. But as it stands now, that is not what obtains in other jurisdictions. So we try to limit ourselves to the reference we were given, which is to find out what is happening in other jurisdictions. Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Abonta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I remain Uzoma Nkem Abonta. Mr. Speaker, I also want to thank the three-man panel for what they have done. Mr. Speaker, at the end of this debate last week, short of calling for a voting, you asked them to let us know the status of this proposed body in order climb. They had come out in affirmative, as against the who say it does not exist anywhere. Mr. Speaker, I do not know the report the Deputy Speaker said he read. I'm not aware that they had circulated their report. If they did, then it was restrictive. Have you circulated their report? I'm not aware. They are reading for the first time. What Deputy Speaker circulated probably was my own report, which I circulated. That's my submission. Not from, do I have the floor, sir? I have the floor. You are returning it to me. So that's not their report. I tried to elucidate further things. Mr. Speaker, audit and auditing and investigation, they can say, can you investigate? Can you audit? They have similarities in accounting, in investigation, in all whatnot. Mr. Speaker, you are a lawyer, you know we have narrow interpretation and wider interpretation to give the true meaning and intent of any word. This is something we can use and also an interpretation clause to correct. Are we going to throw away this? The problem of Nigeria today is corruption. We all agree. And the focal point of this government is to reduce corruption to the barest minimum. Mr. Speaker, this body will start work where the accountant stops. Mr. Speaker, the other point is, if I say now only accountants or ICANN should be in charge of this, that means I cannot be a forensic investigator being a lawyer. But this body admits economists, sociologists, lawyers, and accountants. And it is fallacy to say, it's misleading to say that the promoters of this bill are purely accountants. Mr. Speaker, there are lawyers there, there are economists there, there are ICANN chartered members there. It's all encompassing. What we are saying is, when in other clients, for example, America, huge corporations started collapsing, based also on the report of audit reports. I'll be able to say, for example, Calvary in Nigeria is gone. But if you see the robust accounting reports, it's misleading. It misled. In reality, their shares are worthless from what we see in the market, from the indices. Therefore, the global phenomenon came up now for forensic auditing, investigation to stop fraud. Mr. Speaker, accountants, ICANN as they be, cannot do fraud investigation per se. They look at the book. But this forensic body we are talking of now are fraud prevention experts, fraud detection experts. They use mechanism that is globally coming up to check, to monitor, to forestall fraud where the accountants do not. We've done this debate past. The only mission we ask them to say is, does it exist in other areas? Mr. Speaker, in Nigeria, we have tailored the constitution that section 4 and 49 as it gives the parliament the exclusive right to start people. So they can go to no other agency anywhere to ask for certification. If the people they train can have legal backing, can bring out their certificate, that means Parliament must justify them. They have no other body to go to. But in US, they can't approach Congress, they can't approach another person because it is not a function of Congress, it's a function of the agency. That is why the ICANN equivalent in US was not licensed by any parliament. They are the product of the agency. In US, you also have several accounting bodies. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask this question, and I want to challenge all the accountants here. What is ICANN avoiding? What is ICANN hiding? If you look at, I have the floor. If you look at, I then go to say, all the monumental fraud in Nigeria, there's an ICANN member accountant behind it. I stand to say, all the fraud in all the companies, all the monumental and huge fraud that are involved. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, we will only be doing Nigeria a whole lot of good. Honorable colleagues, we will only be doing Nigeria a whole lot of good if we allow this anti-fraud body to come up. This body that will prevent and forestall fraud in the system to come up. Mr. Speaker, it's interesting to know that in Zimbabwe and other countries, they even have in government departments. I don't know if I'm communicating, sir. In honorable colleagues, even in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, even in government parastatals, they have a department of forensic audit and investigation, notwithstanding internal audit. So is Nigerian case going to be different? In any case, must we do something that exists elsewhere? Can we not start our own pattern that will help Nigeria? I want to beg of you. Allow this bill to go through. We have had public hearing done by Senate, a robust one, and they looked at it and said, as it is in other clime, let it not look as if we are hiding something by stopping this body. The question to ask, Mr. Speaker, what are we going to lose if we allow this body? Nothing. What are we going to gain if we allow this body? A whole lot of. We'll cleanse Nigeria, we'll stop that. It's interesting to know that all the anti-corruption agencies are in support. The ministry are in support, short of an executive bill. So are we the one who is going to stop it? I therefore beg the honorable colleagues to allow this to go through, so that we can test the waters and see how we can reduce this devil that is worrying us to whatever. I want to beg ICANN persons that this will not take your job. This will not take, if your problem is auditing, well, at the final stage, we will know what to do. Therefore, we should allow this thing a safe passage that we don't seem to be the one fighting or trying to establish and institute corruption. We should wipe away the fertile ground for corruption. I beg of you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Sunday, come this way.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and honorable colleagues. My name is Sunday Adepoju, representing Ibarapa East and Nido Federal Constituency of Oyo State. Reading from the submission of the sponsor of the bill, look at it here, instance of forensic auditor. Before you go into the
Honorable Osai has a point of order. Sunday, just take your seat. Let's listen to his point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The point of order is Order 9, Rule 12, Rule 11. Except in committees or committee of the whole House, No member shall speak more than once to the same question without leave of the House or the Speaker, unless he be the mover, proposer, or sponsor of the matter under consideration, in which case he shall be permitted to speak in reply, but not until those choosing to speak shall have spoken. Mr. Speaker, allow Abonta, who is the mover of the motion, who is the mover of the bill, to speak in reply. That means with the submission of other people who have spoken before, he is the last person to speak, and he has spoken in reply according to our rules. He has spoken in reply based on what others have also submitted. So on this ground, Mr. Speaker, our rules forecloses the debate. Our rules forecloses the debate.
Honorable Sunday, did you speak on the day?
I didn't speak at all.
You know we are resuming debate, so if Sunday had not contributed before, he is not caught up by this rule. But I recognize clearly that the deputy whip had spoken that day. That one, definitely I will not forget about that.
No, maybe by error,
yes.
Sir. By error.
But Honorable Deputy, I'm not sure he spoke.
Yes, sir, I agree, sir. But by rule, sir, the rule says the mover of the bill will be the last.
No, I didn't recognize him. No, I didn't say he was replying.
I thought we have come.
No, I didn't say he was exercising his right of reply. So, Osai, please don't try and shut down the debate. It's just, you are being clever by half. Honorable Sunday.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for protecting me and members. Like I said earlier on, the submission of the mover of the bill speaks follow. All what he has said here, unfortunately, the chairman of the three-man panel said that they were not creation of the legislators. As they have seen it here, you have so many institutes that anybody can go to and say, institute of this. Were they chartered to practice it? No. I want you to go to it, what he has given to us. Institute of Forensic Accounting and Auditors. You have it in Ghana, Channels of Accountant, Certified Public Accountant. Who is an accountant? Who is an auditor? Before you can become an auditor, you must be an accountant. And what is the definition of auditing? Auditing is if you're looking into the book of affairs of an organization, the financial statement of an organization, and express an opinion therein. That is an auditor. And if you are not an accountant, you cannot become an auditor. And that is it. They can't call you an auditor unless you are that. Now, what the man has said, go to Australia, Institute of Forensic Accountant and Australia. The accountants here. Institute of Certified Canada. Institute of Certified Forensic Accountant. European Union. And many others like that. If that be the case, you will now see the way we are going. If they don't have anything that with it, the promoter, the bill is a contradiction itself. I read it up with your permission, sir. The bill refutes the indigenous motive of the promoter. Forensic investigation cut across all disciplines, while auditing is the exclusive reserve of well-trained accountants. To establish an institute that award membership certificate on forensic and investigative auditing to non-accountants is to promote charlatan and quackery contrary to the claim that it will address the problem of corruption in the country. In addition, is the proposed bill claiming to have a higher power than the government which established existing agencies such as EFCC and ICPC, saddled with mandate to fight corruption. When the promoter was talking, he was talking about fighting corruption. Is investigation alone about corruption? No. When you say forensic investigation, there must be investigation that may not be a fraud in the medicine, in the engineering, that may not involve. If we go into this, I won't be surprised tomorrow that you are going to see chartered institute of forensic lawyers and barbers. Chartered, yes, the way we are going. I won't be barbers. Yes, because they have put auditor there, which is the principal of auditor. Those who are cutting the hair, they are known as barbers. I won't be surprised if tomorrow you have chartered institutes of civil engineers and vulcanizers. All those have to look at it. The work of an auditor is deeper than just anybody coming in and say I want to be. And this is the implication of this, Mr. Speaker. You will see that if they are certified to go like that, anybody can just come in. Maybe he read sociology and is a member. He will tell you that I am an investigator and as an auditor. And ask him, are you a chartered accountant? Are you an auditor? Yes, I have them in my team. And you put it there. And we'll be practicing it. And we'll be expressing opinion on financial statement of an organization. And if we express an opinion, the investors who want to invest will rely on this information, whereas it's not trained to do the work. If you are looking at it, we said it the other time, leave the auditing. I, as an accountant, I cannot claim to know more law than the lawyers. Mr. Speaker, you know that. I, as an accountant, I cannot say I want to join forensic medical practitioner of Nigeria and accountant. It's not possible. Leave their profession for them. If accounting profession you are thinking that they need forensic, what is forensic? Going down deep, and that can be proved in the law court. Any financial statement expressed on by any accountant or auditor is tenable in the bank, is tenable in the court, based on opinion expressed on the statement of affairs presented by the management of an organization. That is it. Now to now say you want to have principles of forensic investigator and auditors, it's not going to work. Leave the accountancy profession for those who are an accountant. Leave the legal profession to the lawyers, and leave the medical profession to the medical doctors. So on this, Mr. Speaker, the bill should not be passed because it lacks merit. It has no substance. It's not going to help the economy. It's going to have effect in the foreign. And look at it. I want to take you further, Mr. Speaker. The global implication. Forensic accounting in other countries. There is no separate body for forensic audit. United Kingdom. In the United Kingdom, there is no separate body for forensic and investigative audit. This organ of the accountancy profession is being practiced by members of the recognized accounting bodies like ACCA, ICA, and CIMA. In India, the issue of forensic accounting and investigation audit. The issue in India is run as a private business entity offering forensic accounting service but not registered or legislated as a professional body. Now, the institute was set up in Ghana, Nigeria, in the year 2000, but professionals who have been in the field of forensic accounting and investigative audit for many decades and have been instrumental in investigating scores of fraud and white-collar crimes and prosecuting those involved. The institute is not backed by any legislation. Canada. Forensic accounting is practiced by members of chartered professional accountants, CPA, in Canada. I think Mr. Speaker is hearing me. CPA offers certification in certified and financial forensic, CPPM, to qualified members, similar to certified forensic accountants, CFA, as offered by the Institute of Chartered of Nigeria. USA, Institute of Forensic Accountants, that they said about. Sorry, Mr. Speaker. The Institute of Certified Forensic Accountants is not a profit, is not for profit professional body, chartered under letters of patent granted by the federal government of Canada. The institute is also registered under the laws of the state of Delaware, USA. The institute represents accounting professionals who work in the forensic arena. It does not have any legislative approval. Mr. Speaker, global best practice do not support people who had not studied a field to specialize. Globally, issues of forensic accountants are not passed through the National Assembly or Parliament to be chartered. This is simply because forensic accounting is a specialized area of practice for professionals who are already chartered or certified. For example, in the United Kingdom, Canada, and United States of America, the term forensic accountant is generally used for certified public accountant. For you to be a forensic accountant, you
Sorry, Honorable Sunday, are we talking about forensic accountants?
These are the ones that do. When they are saying it's practiced in America and all this, that is what is practiced there. Let them come and bring the one that is practiced, that is being legislated upon in America or Canada. They were just issued and registered and they were not bound by the law. In that wise, this one cannot be bound by the law.
By Nigeria, can you establish an institute without
And we are now saying by Nigeria,
is there any institute that you know of in Nigeria that exists without a law establishing it? Any institute, just name one.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I agree. But they are making the reference that it was practiced there, and I want to defend it, to tell them that it was not like that. If you want to practice, anybody can play institute, issues of a politician. We can establish it. Nobody can take me for anything. I can say Mr. Speaker is the president, but not the one that will be expressing opinion on the financial statement of our organization, which foreign investors, even local investors, will rely on your permission to take informed decision whether to invest or not to invest on it. Mr. Speaker, in the light of this, the bill should not be passed. I thank you, members. Don't bastardize the profession. Let us go into the profession that we know who are trained into it and do the work. Accountant cannot do the work of an engineer, nor engineer can do the work of a medical doctor. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My distinguished colleagues, Simon Arabo is my name. I am not an accountant, I'm a lawyer. But I think I can contribute to the debate on this bill. I think what has actually been causing the fuse is the use of the word auditors. Now, this is a concurring bill. But I think at this stage we can even reject the title. From the argument of the accountants here, it does appear as if you have an institute with that name but the word auditors is out, the affairs will be relieved. Because I am aware that ICANN and ANA, there are instances in which they engage forensic experts in some of their operations. So if that is the case, I don't see the problem having an institute of people in that specialized branch of knowledge. So I believe that this is a bill that can be passed, but we can reject the long title of the bill. Because it will not, I do not see the bill conflicting with the existing statutes on ICANN and ANA. What is baffling me is I believe that since this bill was passed by the Senate, I believe a public hearing was done. Now, if a public hearing was done, we have to give them the benefit of doubt that this, those entities actually appeared, and when they appeared, it does appear that there was reason to pass the bill. It is a concurring bill, and I believe that it's a bill that I believe we can pass, but ultimately we may have to reject the long title. Having said that, I do not think the accounting profession will be negatively affected if this bill is passed. And with the benefit of hindsight, we remember the storm that was raised by the time ANA was to be established in Nigeria. There was a lot of storm. I hope we are not rehashing that scenario. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, I believe that we should concur to this bill and pass it. Thank you very much.
Honorable Dimeji.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Dear colleagues, my name is Honorable Ayudelola Dimeji. I am from Ekiti State, and I represent Ado Irebo, the Federal Constituency. Let me first of all start by thanking the three-man committee that went to do a very sound research. The outcome of their research said the truth about the state of forensic investigation and auditing world over. Let me follow that by saying that as a parliament, we are supposed to consider issues soberly.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, Honorable Osai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Osai Nicholas Osai, represent Doko Kwani Federal Constituency of Delta State. Mr. Speaker, on Thursday last week, the honorable colleague spoke against this bill. And my foundation is Order 9, Rule 11. The honorable colleague spoke against this bill last week. Immediately, Abonta spoke. So for him to come up today again to raise issue on this matter, he spoke on that day. So for him to come today again and begin to make another contribution is going into a contradiction of our rules.
Did he speak that day?
Yes, he did.
Okay, so Honorable Dimeji, your case is closed. Honorable Shadum, Shadum.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues. My name is...
Point of order. Point of order. Point of order.
What order? What is the point of order, please? What's the point of order? What is the point of order?
I didn't speak last week. I didn't speak.
Okay, we reconcile that from the Secretariat. If you didn't speak, they will recognize you to talk. Honorable Shadum.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, my colleagues. My name is Honorable Shadum Mutiu. I represent the Son of Federal Consensus. I'm from Lagos State. Mr. Speaker, we've heard so much about this bill, but I want to first and foremost caution my colleagues on the way and manner we pass bill in this house. And when it gets to Mr. President, that sends his dissent and it's returned to us. It means either we are not doing enough research on what we're supposed to do, or we do our own work casually and let it go. Mr. Speaker, number 2, the Institute of Forensic Analysis and Auditor has been presented. I'm not reading, you are not the speaker, I'm not reading. I'm not reading, Mr. Speaker. But I only want to marshal out some points, Mr. Speaker.
Can you address the chair, please?
Yes, sir. I only want to marshal out some points that are alluded by my colleagues. Number 1, if they want to form an association, I think it's better than an institute. Because these experts, they have acquired expertise in their own various fields. Lawyer, accountants, engineers, and information experts, and what have you. What's the qualification of this promoter to bring these people together and start retraining them? I think if they want to come in form of an association, it's better than for them to come in form of institute or charter. Number 2, somebody said auditors are involved in monumental fraud that has happened in this country. I want to tell us today that auditors are not responsible for the fraud we have in this country. The responsibility of auditors is to express an opinion on the accounts prepared by the management. The responsibility to detect fraud and error lies with the management of an organization. The responsibility to establish a strong internal control system lies with the management, not with the auditor. Auditor fees for this company once in a year or twice in a year to establish the record kept. And if there's fraud that has gone beyond auditor's knowledge, there's some fraud that are called management fraud that cannot be detected by auditors. So the responsibility to detect auditors should not be, to detect fraud should not be placed in the doorstep of an auditor. It's the manager that should be responsible for detection of fraud. And in any case, there are so many things in this country that lawyers make mistakes, they lose cases in court. We say because the lawyer is not good or they are not well trained, that's why they lose cases. So that should not be brought into on board. Number 3, I want us to determine the qualification. If you want to have an institute, you must have a qualification. Where were they trained? Those people that are promoting this bill, where were they trained as a forensic analyst? Were they trained as a forensic auditors? They were never trained anywhere. And they are trained as a lawyer, or as an accountant, or as an engineer. Therefore, they cannot claim to have the knowledge to train all these people that want to become forensic analysts or auditors. So therefore, the the qualification of those people promoters are very relevant for us to determine whether they are qualified to be an institute or not. And lastly, when we were talking about Anna was not passed by National Assembly. Anna was passed by the Ministry of the Arts, by Mr. Former Head of State, Ibrahim Babangida, not by National Assembly. So he didn't go through scrutiny of the National Assembly the way we are going to do. Therefore, whatever we are doing, we must determine it passes international standard that cope with other foreign practices. And we've been told that in foreign lands, this does not exist as an institute, but an association. It's better for professionals who are experts in legal profession, experts in accounting, forensic accounting, experts in other fields to come together in an association and form this association of forensic analysts. I think it's better for us. And in the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, we have faculties. One of the faculties the Institute of Chartered Accountants has is forensic analysis and audit. So in this forensic analysis, that's where you are trained as an accountant. You want to specialize in forensic analysis, you are trained as a forensic accountant. So that's what the institute is doing. But because you does not bring it to the fore and start making noise about it, we think they are not doing anything about it. The institute is doing a lot about forensic analysis and auditor. So we should allow this bill to remain an association, or the sound to the owners for them to represent it as an association, not an institute or chartered by legislation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my dear honorable colleagues. My name is Abdurrahman Shuaibu. I represent Mubi North, Mubi South, and Maiha Federal Constituency. I'm from Adamawa State. Mr. Speaker, I want to start by saying that the auditors in Nigeria are doing very, very, very good job, very excellent job. The only problem we have is that the reports of the auditors are not being implemented by the relevant organizations. Even in private companies, the auditors do the audits, present their reports to the shareholders, and actions are not taken on the audit reports. The same problem we have. The Office of the Auditor General in Nigeria does a very, very good job. They present reports every year, but these reports are not implemented. So the auditors are doing a very, very good job. Number two, there is this website, International Federation of Forensic Accountants and Auditors, is a creation of the Chartered Institute of Forensic Investigating Auditors of Nigeria. It's not an international organization. It's a creation locally created here in Nigeria to deceive members of the public. So if you look at the website, it's a non-existent organization at all. So we should not be deceived by that. It's not an international organization. Number two, there is a lot of contradiction. When you look at the bill, it's saying that the president should be a live president. I'm addressing the chair. The president is a live president. I have not seen any responsible body that will have a president that will be a live president. So based on that, I think even because of that, we should be able to throw away this bill into the dustbin of history, so that history can judge us in the positive way. And another thing is that forensic investigation, it cuts across all disciplines, while auditing is the exclusive reserve of well-trained accountants. So if you want to do forensic investigation, for example, you may require the services of different professionals. So it should be an organization registered with CAC that should be able to bring together different professionals that should be able to carry forensic investigation when they want to do so. Because when you are doing auditing, if it is an accounting investigation, it must be done by an accountant. But you cannot say, if you are doing forensic general investigation of forensic nature, and you think you are going to train somebody that will have the knowledge of all the professions that should be able to do it. So, Mr. Speaker, we should confine this bill to the dustbin of history so that we can be judged positively. We should be worried with the number of bills that we normally send to the president for assent, and many of them are being returned without presidential assent, even reasons why they are not assented to. If you look at the analysis done by Senate recently, out of about 16 bills, maybe they have found only 2 that are reasonably okay for override presidential assent out of 16. So it's not a good thing to be passing this type of bills, and later we'll be having problems. history will judge us. Let it judge us in the positive way instead of in the negative way. So we should not allow this bill to pass, because we will just be wasting legislative hours and legislative time for and resources also to again conduct maybe public hearings on this issue. And we already have submissions from different accounting bodies, different organizations have made submissions. ICANN have made submissions, ANAN have made submissions, and so many bodies have made submissions. They are all against this bill. So we should throw away this bill. Mr. Speaker, I so submit.
Honorable Kayode, you are a sponsor of the motion, so even if you are speaking twice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As the sponsor of the bill, I think I'm not caught by Order 911. Therefore, I can give my response. Mr. Speaker, ordinarily, I had thought that the reason why we are here to debate this bill this afternoon is to hear from the committee set up by the Speaker to determine a very narrow question. I repeat, sir, a very narrow question, whether or not this particular association exists elsewhere in the world. And I remember, Mr. Speaker, when this committee was being constituted, the question that was put to them and the answer Mr. Speaker gave was that if they return on Tuesday, and the answer is in the affirmative, therefore, we will not have no hesitation in going further with the passage of this bill, particularly the debate. So I never thought that, Mr. Speaker, this would create a litigation or re-argument. But because some other people have spoken, that's why I feel there should be a right of reply. And thank you for giving it to me, Mr. Speaker. Let me say this. We have two chambers, House of Parliament in Nigeria. We have the Senate, we have the House of Reps. And there is full faith and recognition to be given to the decision of either of this House. Speaker, if the Senate passes a bill and they send it to us for concurrence, or we pass a bill, we send it to the Senate for concurrence, we'll expect that under the full faith and recognition rule, we shall give recognition and give effect to that bill. Mr. Speaker, something was said last week by the Deputy Whip, and it was like casting aspersion on the Senate when he said the Senate did not do a thorough job, and it is the duty and responsibility of the House to do a better job. That is not good. That's an indictment of the Senate. And I said this because the Senate held a public hearing, Mr. Speaker. During that public hearing, all these things we are talking about today, they were subsequently discussed and debated at the public hearing. Anna was there, ICANN was there, lawyers were there, and all the stakeholders were there. It was the consensus. It was the consensus of the committee after the public hearing that this bill should be passed by the Senate. The report was submitted to the Senate. The Senate considered the report, went to the public, to the committee of the whole House, and as well as passing the third reading before it was sent to us for concurrence. And as I said before, Mr. Speaker, before the concurrence, of course, we have another one lying here by me as and my other two colleagues. Mr. Speaker, I think we should give full faith and recognition to Senate's position on this bill. Beyond that, Mr. Speaker, I think I need to correct an impression that was given by Honorable Sunday when he was talking about charter. In Nigeria, we don't charter any longer. That is what they call colonial mentality, excuse my language. Because what we have here is to give legal backing. It is during the colonial era, and because of the monarchical system that exists in England and Wales, that you go to England to ask for royal charter. You can call yourself any name. What matters is, do you have legislative recognition? ICANN was not chartered in Nigeria. ICANN has legal backing because the law, the duties of National Assembly, pursuant to Section 4 of the Constitution, is to make law, not to charter. So when we give legal recognition, we are not chartering anybody. You can call yourself any name. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, it is distinguishable from what we are going to doing here now, Mr. Speaker. What we are saying is that for any association to conduct business in Nigeria, particularly professional business, they have to have legal backing. And you asked, Mr. Speaker, a very germane question. And what is that question? You said, is there an association in Nigeria that exists without legal backing? The question is no. We are doing our business as lawmakers. We have to ensure that what we do here, we have legislative backing and control for any association. Why are we here? We have the report. The report is an affirmative. Affirmative that yes, we have similar organizations. Nigeria is a sovereign country. If Ghana does not give legal backing to their own, that's Ghana's problem. You cannot say because Ghana does not give legal backing, Nigeria should not give legal backing. We have different challenges, we have different institutions, and we have different reasons why we take policies, Mr. Speaker. For us in Nigeria, ICANN was given legal backing, ANAN was given legal backing, the Institute of Taxation, so many of them were given legal backing. Why should we not give this association legal backing as well? The use of the word auditor, I think I said it last week, that some people grow goosebumps because of the word auditor. Mr. Speaker, this is different from auditing that they are looking at. You can audit anything, not necessarily an accountant. They feel that once you hear is an auditor, is an accountant. No. Auditors, you can audit so many things beyond accounting. So when they say investigative auditing, I can say it boldly, Mr. Speaker, that hardly can you see audit accountants in Nigeria testify in court. It's only investigative auditors as well as forensic investigators that go to the court to testify. And we are talking about science and technology, the use of science and technology in the war against corruption. Without much ado, Mr. Speaker, and of course I still retain my right to reply. I want to urge my colleagues to please support this bill. If we get to the committee of the whole house, and I said committee of the whole house, as I said last week, Mr. Speaker, we have less than 2 months to go. And if we want to go by the suggestion espoused by the Deputy Speaker, that we have a committee or a new bill be brought up, Mr. Speaker, is like saying that we are taking this bill to the graveyard. We have a duty to pass this law. And I want to urge my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, to please support this bill. If we get to the committee of the whole house, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after tomorrow, we can correct the areas that need to be corrected. I so submit, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
The front rows, Deputy Leader, you wanted to speak on. Okay, you have given up now. Deputy Whip, you break our rules. Honorable Dimeji, I think Honorable Osai is mistaking you for Honorable Dennis Amadi who spoke that day. But Honorable Dimeji did not speak, Osai. It's confirmed. Yeah? So please, we hear you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable colleagues, once again, my name is Honorable Yunedola Dimeji. I'm from Ekiti State, and I represent Ado, Irabo, the Federal Constituency. I was going to say that as a parliament, when we make a pronouncement, people should see that the pronouncement is impartial. By that, we should consider issues soberly. The issue at stake is a very thorny, very touchy, and very sentimental matter. And it needs thorough understanding of what we are discussing. Let me start by saying that this bill intends to obtain a charter for this proposed institute. Like the report of the three-man committee says, all over the world, those who practice forensic investigation and auditing. They only exist as associations. And an association is a group of people. They are never chartered. They never got any legislative backing anywhere, world over. This bill, as proposed, speaks about investigative auditing. And I want to remind us that there was an act of Parliament in 1965 that brought up ICANN. In that act, ICANN was how to regulate and standardize the practice of accountancy profession in Nigeria. I want to let us know that forensic investigation is an offshoot of investigation that has always been part of accounting. It's only providing technological ease for those who now do investigation to do a thorough job. That's the essence of forensic. And the word forensic or forensic science applies to various professions. When you go online, you will see Association of Forensic Nurses, Association of Forensic Criminologists, Association of Forensic Document Examiners. There are various associations like that. None of them is chartered. Now, when we come back to Nigeria, ICANN, because it's a dynamic professional body. And again, business and accounting too is a dynamic area. ICANN, in response to the developments, has gone ahead as of 2001 to set up 7 different core faculties. One of them is forensic accounting and auditing. For those who have interest to advance in their profession, they are already professionalized, but they want to advance further. And over the period, ICANN has trained as many as 500 forensic accountants and auditors. In Nigeria today, FITC is already training people in investigation, auditing, and accounting. So, people already in this line can choose to come together to form an association or an institute and operate as a body. They don't really need a charter because they have already obtained a charter of an institute where they are professionals. So there's no need for additional charter for forensic investigative auditors and accountants in Nigeria. This bill talks about the parent body of CFIA as AFIA, that is Association of Forensic Investigative Auditors based in Canada. If you go online, if you call up that site, what it will bring out is Association of Women Professional Financial Managers. Anybody can go online to check. You will not see AFIA as a site for anybody online. It will only bring up Association of Women Professional Financial Managers. This bill talks about those who are going to regulate this CFIA. They spoke about IFFAA, that's International Federation of Forensic Auditors and Accountants. If you go online, there's no site like that. Well, I want us to get something clear. This issue is not to pinch ICANN against anybody. We are talking of business generally and what can make business to boom. We should not conclude in a way that can affect people when they look at those who passed this bill. Posterity will either judge us right or wrong. Like I said, as a parliament, we must consider issues soberly and be impartial in our decision. So that anytime, any day, when anybody comes up, they will know that this parliament did a very good job. Now, this bill says that CFIA is not another accounting body. If it is not another accounting body, then there's no need asking for a charter. There's no need adding the word auditors or accountants or anything like that in their bill. They can as well go and say that they are Institute of Forensic Investigators. But like I did say, there are so many people that use forensic science today. Lawyers do, medical doctors do. We know of medical pathology. So there are so many other associations that do not allow us to limit this forensic area to any particular body. When this bill talks about the normal audit, let me say that if this bill is passed, I don't know the kind of job they want to be doing, because statutorily under KAMA, every registered or limited company is expected to have auditors, and these are auditors who have gone through a body of knowledge and they are now qualified auditors to come and audit such businesses. We have all heard about the definition of auditing and investigation. So the work of auditors for organizations goes beyond just forensic. And I want to note that the job of forensic investigator is exposed. It is only when fraud is either discovered or is suspected that you constitute investigators to go and do a special audit. And that is where forensic investigation comes in. So it's not that it's a body of knowledge on its own, but it's an advancement. Forensic only makes it advance because of the modern day technology. But ordinarily what auditors do is to audit books of accounts. And if frauds are now discovered, then there will be need for investigation, which is specialized. And let me quickly correct our colleagues that are talking about fraud and investigation. If you license this body, I want any of them to tell me the kind of contract they will enter into. Nobody can sign a contract that is going to prevent fraud or is going to prevent corruption. I want somebody to educate me how a body will stand up and say we are a firm. I want to go into an NPC. I want to go and uncover frauds there, or want to go and prevent corruption. Corruption is a thing of the mind. Fraud is a thing of the mind. And we need to understand that there are different levels of fraud. Like for instance, in an organization you have employee frauds, you have management frauds, and you have corporate frauds. You can have sovereign fraud. So I don't know the kind of frauds that this body claims they want to go and be preventing, or they want to go and be detecting. Fraud is a thing that is very hard for anybody to either prevent or detect. You only detect fraud by adventure. Like for instance, we have EFCC today. EFCC cannot prevent corruption, it cannot prevent fraud. They can only work on information that is provided. Just like I said, when you uncover fraud, you now go for special investigation to unravel what actually happened. So we don't need to be biased when we are looking at this bill. I want us to be very, very dispassionate. And if we do, we will understand there is no need for another body to be called Chartered Institute of Forensic Investigative Auditors in Nigeria. At best, they can be Chartered Institute of Forensic Investigators, but that means that engineers will be part of it, nurses will be there, medical doctors, lawyers, and so on. If other bodies or professionals can now agree to bow for that singular institute, so be it, but let them not limit the functions of auditors who already have their own training and they are certified. Thank you, Reverend Speaker. Thank you, my colleagues.
I thought we had finished this. Honorable Shehu Garba, I didn't know you wanted to speak. Okay, quickly, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My honorable colleague, my name is Shehu Garba Sarkin Noma. I represent Jama'a Sanga Federal Constituency. I'm from Kaduna State. Mr. Speaker, the fact that this bill has elicited such controversy, or is it number of contribution, points to the fact that there is something more to this bill than meets the ordinary, expectation or high. Mr. Speaker, in accounting, once you become a chartered accountant, you go through the rigors of qualifying as a chartered accountant. You are expected, your role as an accountant is to keep proper book of account of any organization or agency, to be able to summarize this record into a form that an opinion could be formed, and to be able to interpret the report emanating from such a summary. And when called upon to audit, you are expected to express an opinion on such summarized record. Mr. Speaker, every qualified accountant is supposed to be a very good auditor. All chartered accountants are auditors. You cannot be an auditor without qualifying as an accountant. And in auditing, Mr. Speaker, whether you call it forensic, whether you call it a special audit, or whatever it is, an audit is an audit and cannot be carried out by any other person other than a chartered and qualified accountant. And therefore, the semantics of forensic, or whatever you call it, is just a nomenclature that is brought about for the purposes of attaining a particular objective, which is to create just an institute for somebody or for a group of people. Mr. Speaker, we are bastardizing our institutions through processes like the one we are considering now. By approving or legislating on an institute called Institute of Forensic Accounting, we are only bastardizing and reducing the value of similar institutions, which is the chartered accounting body that we have. Because when the push comes to the shove, people will not understand which institution in Nigeria to rely upon any longer because of the proliferation that we bring about as a result of approving a law like this. An auditor can carry out an audit on the revenue of an organization. It can carry out an audit on the assets of an organization. You can conduct a special investigation on the revenue of an organization. Whatever it is you call it, you could call it a special audit, you can call it a forensic. Forensic means simply going very deep. And that is carried out by the accountant, who is an auditor. You have no need for another institute called an Institute of Forensic Accountant. You are just playing with some, with words and semantics. Let us uphold the integrity of the institution that we have created, that have track record over the years, are recognized globally. In fact, members of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria are recognized worldwide. By the time we bastardize this institution by creating a multiplicity of institutions whose purposes is suspect, I think we will be contributing to undermining, the recognition that this institution that we have, that have, they have earned, after many years, of proving themselves. And I believe, Mr. Speaker, that this bill, I think, we shouldn't allow this bill to pass, because we already have institutions that are playing this role. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I'm joining my colleagues and I'm appealing to our colleagues here not to concur to this bill, because it will amount to bastardizing institutions that we have already created by law, some of them as far back as the 60s, that have earned global recognition. And so submit, Mr. Speaker.
I think we have come to an end of this debate. Pardon? Time. Okay, Honorable Babangida.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name remains Honorable Babangida Ibrahim. I'm representing Malim Fashi Kafur, Federal Constituency. I'm from Katsina State. Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry for coming late, but I'm aware this bill has been on for a very long time. And my contribution on this bill is that, in the first place, let me announce to this House that I'm a fellow of a professional institute. And before you become a member, up to a fellow of a professional institute, you pass through examinations. You just can't be a member of a professional institute just for the sake of being a member. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I'm aware that there is no higher institution in Nigeria whether it is university or polytechnic that is offering any course on forensic. Our forensic investigation is not restricted to accounting. Forensic investigation is diverse. You can conduct forensic investigation in law, medicine, all aspects of human life. Now, this bill that is before us is forensic investigation auditors. The word audit, we are all aware. You cannot be an auditor or conduct any audit in Nigeria unless and until you either become a member of Chartered Institute of Accountants of Nigeria or a member of ANA, Association of National Accountants of Nigeria. So, Mr. Speaker, I am of the opinion, if the House insists on passing this particular bill, then we have to remove the word auditors. Let be forensic investigators without the word auditors. So I don't think if we are doing justice to professional bodies that are responsible of conducting forensic audits, because there is no country in the whole world where you have a professional body called forensic auditors. Even in the USA, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, forensic audit is being conducted by public accountants, chartered public accountants. If you go to India, Mr. Speaker, forensic investigation is being conducted by a group of accountants. If you go to UK, there is no anywhere in the world where you have forensic auditors as a professional body. It's an arm of accounting body. So if for any reason you want to pass the bill, the word auditor should be removed. Let me Association of Forensic Investigators. Thank you.
Okay. I'll give you 2 minutes, please, to round up. 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
2 minutes.
I'll be done in 2 minutes. Mr. Speaker, I remain Nkem Abonta. I want to talk purely on reply as elucidated in terms of training and qualification. The word institute is for them to train the would-be forensic investigators auditors. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, it has been said here that you cannot do auditing except you are a chartered accountant. Mr. Speaker, sir, Honorable Chinda is the chairman of public accounts. He is not an accountant, he's a lawyer. He does auditing. Mr. Speaker, am I protected? I have the floor, please. Mr. Speaker, we go on oversight. We also apply auditing methodology to find out whether the budget was carried out as agreed. So the word here, auditing, is being construed to mean as if they are going to be employed to audit firm. No. Mr. Speaker, this body are not seeking to be able to audit companies. No. We are mixing the issues. Their work will start when they think there is fraud. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, accountants will say, this is, in our opinion, represent the statement of true affairs of what was presented by management. These people are now seeking to forensically look at these statements. Is there any fraud parameter in it? If we, as legislators, could also audit, investigate in our oversight, this body is trying to increase our capacity to do such. Mr. Speaker, may I draw something to your attention? Forensic and investigative auditing is multidisciplinary. Our law forbids monopoly. We are not saying they are going to audit, no, but they will carry investigation that will lead to exposure of fraud or prevention of fraud. Mr. Speaker, if it is multidisciplinary, I don't know if I have attention, Mr. Speaker, let me read out something. Legislative auditing is, the investigative auditing is multidisciplinary and its membership goes across profession and not limited to accountants only due to the nature of their mandate. Forensic auditing involves forensic science, technology, investigative, law, criminology, cyber forensic, psychology, police justice, and all whatnot. So why will the accountants or ICANN want to shut down? Why do they want to create a monopoly? I want to beg of you, at the appropriate level, if the word auditing is offensive, then we will know what to do it. But to say now that the bill should not die because of that is not proper. Like I said, OK Chinda is now the chief auditor of the public account. He's not an accountant, but he's using methods to find out whether those papers that say please that this bill should be allowed to pass. We'll conclude when we get to the experts, we will not be able to know what to delete and what to retain and what to add. But now throwing it away will look as if we are doing other things. Say yes to this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I think I'll put a question. Yes. The question is that the bill be now read a second time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those against it say nay. The nays have it. Honorable colleagues, we move to consideration of reports. Ninth order of the day, honorable colleagues, consideration of a bill for an act to establish Chartered Institute of Social Work Practitioners and to make provisions, among other things, for membership and control of the profession of social work and for related matters. Honorable members will recall that the bill was committed to Committee of the Whole on Thursday, 12 July 2018. Honorable Edward Yang Pajo will move for its consideration.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. Mr. Speaker, I do move that the House do consider a bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Social Work Practitioners and to make provisions, among other things, for membership and control of the profession of social work and for related matters. HB 258. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder? Seconder? Honorable Zakari Mohammed, can you second, please?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Zakari Mohammed. I represent Bautin Kayam and Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion as moved.
So moved by who? Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. 10th order of the day is consideration of a bill for an act to establish the Institute of Transport Administration of Nigeria, charged with the responsibility of advancing the study, training, and practice of transport management and administration in Nigeria and for related matters. Honorable members will recall that the bill was committed to Committee of the Whole on Tuesday, 9th April 2019. Honorable Edward Yang Pajo would move for its consideration.
Mr. Speaker, may I move that this House do consider a bill for an act to establish the Institute of Transport Administration of Nigeria, charged with responsibility of advancing the study, training, and practice of transport management and administration in Nigeria and for related matters. HB 623. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Seconder. Honorable Miga. Okay, Honorable Flatter, since Miga is not around, you do Jugar solidarity.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Abubakar Safulata. I represent Bruniwa, Krikasamba, Uri Federal Constituency. I rise to second the motion, every moved by my colleague. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. 11th order of the day is consideration of bill for act to establish the Project Development Agency (PRODA) in Enugu to conduct scientific, engineering, and technological research aimed at facilitating domestication and industrialization of appropriate technology for socio-economic advancement of Nigeria and for related matters. Honorable members who recall the bill was committed to Committee of the Whole on Tuesday, 9 April 2019. Honorable Edward Yangpajo will move for its consideration.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House do consider a bill on act to establish the Projects Development Agency (PRODA) Enugu to Calabar scientific, engineering, and technological research aimed at facilitating the domestication and industrialization of appropriate technology for socio-economic advancement of Nigeria and for related matters. HB 1542. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Seconder, Honorable Israel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Israel Ajibola Fabrewa, member of the President of Agogosa East and West, East and West. I rise to second the motion as moved. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. The 12th order of the day is consideration report of the Committee on National Planning and Economic Development on the bill for an act to repeal the Nigeria Council for Management Development (SCMD) Act, Chapter N99, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Nigerian Council for Management Development Bill and for related matters. Honorable members who recall that the report was laid on Wednesday, 13 March 2019. Honorable Bashir Babale will move for its consideration. Honorable Bashir is not around. Anybody moving on his behalf? Honorable Joseph, we're done with it.
Mr. Speaker, I'm Honorable Joseph Idowole, Edo State. I hereby move that the report, we have to consider the report of the Committee on National Planning and Economic Development on a bill for an act to repeal the National Council for Management Development Act, Cap 99, Law of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Council for Management Development Bill and for related matters. So moved.
Ex seconder, Honorable Mohammed Jega.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues. I'm Mohammed Umar Jega, representing Aloro Gondu Jega Federal Constituency. I rise to second the motion, heavily moved by my honorable colleagues. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Thirteenth order of the day is consideration of report of the Committee on Agricultural Colleges, Institutions, Bill for an act to establish universities, veterinary teaching hospitals, constitution of boards, etc. for related matters. Honorable members who recall the report was laid on Wednesday, 27 July 2018. Honorable Linus Okori will move for its consideration. Is Linus around? Okay. Chairman of the main committee.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohammed Tahir Munguno. I represent Marte Munguno, Ganze Federal Constituency of Borno State. I stand for Honorable Linus Okori, being a member of the committee and also being a chairman of the main committee. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I hereby move that the House do consider the report of the Committee on Agricultural Colleges and Institutions on a bill for an act to establish university veterinary teaching hospitals, constitution of boards, etc. and for related matters, House Bill 568, and approve recommendations therein. I so move.
Any seconder? Seconder. Honorable Israel Formiro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Israel Ajibola Famrewa is my name. Member representing Takumosa East and West, Elisha East and West. I rise to second the motion as moved by my colleague. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. 14th order of the day is consideration of 5 reports of Committee on Tertiary Education Services. Honorable Aminu Suleiman will move for the consideration of the reports. It's here around. Suleiman. Okay, Honorable Jarigbe, Agwam Jarigbe will take for you.
Right, Honorable Speaker, my colleagues, I'm Honorable Jarigbe Agwam Jarigbe. I represent the good people of Ogoja Yala Federal Constituency and from Kaduna State. I rise to move that the following bills be considered by the House. 1. That the House do consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Education and Services on a bill for an act to establish Federal College of Education Special, Benin Kudu, Jigawa State, to provide full-time courses, teaching, instructions, and training in technology, applied science, arts, social science, humanities, and management, to establish College of Education Technical, Ona, Akwa Ibom State, to provide full-time courses, teaching instructions, and training in technology, applied science, arts, social science, humanities, and management, and to provide for establishment of Federal College of Education, Lisam, Taraba State, for the purposes of providing qualitative education in science, arts, social sciences, and other technical knowledge, and for related matters, and approve the recommendations there. 2. That the House do consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Education and Services on a bill for an act to amend the University of Maiduguri Act, CAB U10, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, to specify the minimum qualification of the Chairman of the Governing Council, ownership of intellectual property, and to provide for pre-action notice to the University Authority and for related matters. That the House do consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Education and Services on a bill for an act to amend the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Bauchi Act CAB A1 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 to specify the minimum qualifications of the Chairman of the Governing Council, ownership of intellectual property, and to provide for pre-action notice to the University Authority and for related matters. That the House do consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Education and Services on a bill for an act to amend the Obafemi Awolowo University Transitional Provisions Act CAP 02 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 to specify the minimum qualification of the Chairman of the Governing Council, ownership of intellectual property, and to provide for pre-action notice to the University Authority and for related matters, and approve the recommendations there. And finally, that the House do consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Education and Services on a bill for an act to amend the Federal Polytechnics Act, CAP F17 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to establish the Federal Polytechnic, Malum Fashi, Katsina State, or promote a planned and balanced economic development sustainable by applied science, technology, and management courses, and to establish Federal Polytechnic, Koko, Delta State, to provide for equity and access to tertiary education in the country, make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration, and for related matters, and approve the recommendations there. I so move.
Seconder, Engineer Dao Ali Magaji.
Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Magaji Dao Ali, member representing Bruno Kudubo Jipere constituency and from Jigawa State. I rise to support the motion ably moved by honorable colleague Honorable Jaribi. I so second. Thank you.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. 15th order of the day is consideration of report of Committee on Public Accounts and the annual report of the Auditor General of the Federation 2010. Honorable members will recall the report was laid on Wednesday 10th April 2019. Honorable O.K. Chinda will move for its consideration.
Honorable Speaker, the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee is not on the floor, but Mr. Speaker, let me inform the House that you had commended the committee for a job well done, because this is the very first time that, pursuant to our responsibility, this committee went backwards to 2010 as a matter of fact to do this work. So they have done an exhaustive work. I have seen it. It's in about 3 volumes. But to tidy it up in a way and manner that is ready for the committee of the whole, they're asking for a little time. So may I ask that we step down because of this report? I so move.
Report step down. Consideration of report step down by leave of the House. I think that's all. Just few announcements and we're done. Honorable Mutu, please approach the chair. The Ad hoc Committee on the Petroleum Industry Bills, PIB, will meet tomorrow, 17 April 2019, in room 231, new building. Time is 2 p.m. Announcer Right Honorable Adodogwa. Members of the committee should discountenance the earlier notice that the meeting will hold today. The meeting is tomorrow at 2 p.m. In room 231, new building of the House of Representatives. Ad hoc committee membership. Ad hoc committee to investigate the lifting of siege imposed on Gagara farmland and villages by personnel of the Nigeria Police Force, the BHS of Chinese-owned Northern Agribusiness Limited. House Resolution 1404-2019. Membership: Honorable Shehu Garba Zarki Noma, Honorable Kinsley Chinda, Honorable Goni Bukar, who will serve as the chairman, Honorable Shadimu Mutu, Honorable Karimi Sonde, Honorable Dennis Amadi, and Honorable Sani Zoro, who is the sponsor of the motion. Last but not the least is a bill for an act to repeal the Nigeria Postal Service Act Chapter N127, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and establish the Nigeria Postal Commission to make comprehensive provisions for the development and regulation of postal services and for related matters, House Bill 1563. Honorable members, that will comprise the committee includes Honorable Edward Gyang Pajo, who will serve as chairman, Honorable Bakar Lawal Garba, member, Honorable Akpan Emmanuel, member, Honorable Magaji Dao Aliu, member, Honorable Nkem Abonta Uzoma, member, Honorable Isiaka Ayokunle Ibrahim, member. These are the conferees. Need a motion for adjournment.
Honorable Speaker, respected colleagues, I here move that the House be dissolved to committee of the whole to consider the report.
Honorable MT.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable I hereby second that the House give it up to the committee of the board to consider the report.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. House hereby resolve into committee of the whole to consider the reports.
is the promoter? Honorable colleagues, the first report to be considered is a bill for an act to establish the Charter Institute of Social Worker Practitioners and to make provisions, among other things, for membership and control of the profession of social work and for related matters. And I invite Chairman House Committee on Rules and Business to speak to the report.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Chairman, sir, this report is on a bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Social Work Practitioners. This is one of the bills that was passed by the National Assembly and sent to Mr. President for his assent, but he declined assent and gave his reasons. One of the reasons was that the scope of the bill was not well captured. So this bill was referred to our legal department. We have looked at it again and are taking care of the president's no concern. So we're submitting this report for consideration. I so move.
Mr. Chairman. Okay, thank you very much, Chairman. House Committee on Rules and Business. This bill was declined assent initially, and I think the areas pointed to by the President have been worked upon, and that is what necessitated bringing it back. It has 35 clauses, so we go ahead and pass the clauses. Clause 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Explanatory memorandum. Schedule. Long title of the bill. The next report to be considered is actually a concurrence bill, a bill for now to establish the Institute of Transport Administration of Nigeria. It's a concurrence bill, and so I will invite Chairman Rules and Business to speak to the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Like you rightly pointed out, this report is on the bill emanating from the Senate seeking the concurrence of the House of Representatives on the bill for an act to establish the Institute of Transport Administration in Nigeria. This bill, if passed, is charged with the responsibility of advancing the study, training, and practice of transport management and administration in Nigeria. So, as the chairman mentioned rightly, this a concurrence bill. Public hearing was duly conducted in the Senate. We've gone through the bill, and we've recommended that this committee retains the provisions as contained in the bill. I so submit.
Like I said, it's a concurrent bill of 23 clauses, 3 schedules, explanatory memorandum, and the long title. So passed. Like I said, it's 23 clauses, you recall those ones. But the next bill too is a concurrence bill, and it's a bill for now to establish the Project Development Agency (PRODA) Enugu to conduct scientific, engineering and technological research aimed at facilitating the domestication and industrialization of appropriate technology for socio-economic advancement of Nigeria and for related matters. Now I invite the Chairman of the House Committee on Rules and Business to speak to the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this is another bill which is seeking the concurrence of the House on a bill to establish the Projects Development Agency (PRODA), which is located in Enugu, to conduct scientific, engineering and technological research aimed at facilitating the domestication and industrialization of appropriate technology for socio-economic advancement of Nigeria. Mr. Chairman, I think this is already an existing institution, but it does not have legal or legislative backing. So if we pass this bill and it's assented to, then it will now enjoy the legal backing and then have its own legal personality. Before we pass it, sir, I would amend just a slight thing in clause 1 when we get to it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I need your amendment.
Chairman, in clause 1, subsection 2, it says the provisions of the bill is to the effect that in 2A that the agency shall be a corporate body. Proposed to amend it to be in line with the language of the law, which is that it should be a body, not corporate. I don't want this bill to be but if you pass like that, they won't.
So that it does not look like we are altering the bill itself. So it shall be a body corporate. So it's just rearrangement. So it's just semantic. So the bill has 46 clauses. 46 clauses with a schedule and explanatory memorandum, and it's accordingly passed. The next report is that of the House Committee on National Planning and Economic Development, and it's a bill for now to establish the Institute of Transport Administration of Nigeria Chartered. Am I correct? Okay, my reports were not properly arranged. Is that of the House Committee on National Planning and Economic Development, and it's a report of the House Committee on National Planning and Economic on the bill and act to repeal the Nigeria Council for Management Development Act, Chapter N, 99 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Nigeria Council for Management Development and for other related matters, House Bill 461. And I invite the Chairman House Committee to speak to the report. The Chairman House Committee is represented here by Honorable John Wille. So 2 minutes, speak to the report.
The Honorable House will record that the House, at a sitting on Tuesday, 12th of July 2017, debated on a bill for an act to repeal the National Council for Management Development Act, number 99, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2014, and to enact the National Council for Management Development Act 2016, and for other related matters. The bill is made up of 7 parts, 25 clauses and supplementary provisions relating to the schedule made up of 19 clauses. Clauses that are retained without amendment, clauses are 6, 8, 20, 21, 22. Clauses that are retained with amendment are clauses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, and 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 23. Interpretation, the citations, and some other parts of the supplementary provisions, as well as the explanatory notes. Clauses that are retained with amendments and insertions of new subsections or paragraphs, while the subsequent numbers were renumbered are clauses 2 and 3, 16H and I, and 24. Clauses that are retained with amendments with some parts of the clauses deleted are clauses 2, 1, 3, 4, 6, and 8. Recommendations. In view of the foregoing and consideration, considering the unanimous report the bill received at the public hearing, with just only one dissenting voice, the committee hereby recommends that the attached recommendations be considered, approved, and passed into law in order to enact the National Center for Management Development. The passage of this bill will not only improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the government and private organizations alike, but will also ensure quality and effective management of public and private businesses and resources, create and enhance job opportunities for our teeming youths and graduates, and socio-economic growth and development of Nigeria. In this regard, I urge you all to support and give an expeditious passage of this bill into law for onward transmission to the Senate for concurrence, as time is of essence. Thank you.
Thank you by reminding us of our statutory duties. The bill is a repeal and enact, and obviously almost all the section of the principal act were touched, and the report that emerged as 25 clauses with a schedule, explanatory memorandum. So clause 1, clause 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 25. Schedule, explanatory memorandum, long title of the bill. Sorry for calling the schedule before explanatory memorandum. Rearrange. I think item 13 was stepped down. Lalo Sukuri was not around. Okay. The next one to be considered is that of the agricultural institutions, and it will be presented by Chairman as Committee on Agric and Agri Production and Services on a report on a bill for an act to establish veterinary teaching hospital of universities and veterinary specialist hospitals and for related matters. Am I correct? Veterinary teaching hospitals of universities and veterinary FT. So speak to the report.
My name is Honorable Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Marte Monguno, Ganze Federal Constituency of Borno State. Mr. Speaker, sorry, Mr. Chairman, honorable members, what this bill essentially seeks to do is to give legal framework, because the veterinary teaching hospitals are already in existence in most of our universities. So it's already there. What this bill seeks to do is to give them legal framework for them to properly exist and also carry out their mandate with full force of the law to enable them back and bite in the discharge of their statutory duty. So it's an establishment bill because they are already in existence. We are just trying to do the needful as per Section 4 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Thank you.
Yes, Deputy Leader.
Mr. Chairman, sir, I don't know, I want to be educated further because I thought ordinarily every institution that want to say advances on course of learning in the course of the discipline of veterinary, say for instance MBU Zaria, I'm giving an example, should establish their own institution based on peculiarity and other things. Are we going to have one omnibus law for the entire institutions in the country? I don't understand, sir.
If you look at the title of the bill, establish veterinary teaching hospitals of universities. So wherever you find veterinary medicine being taught in a university, there is going to be a specialized hospital for veterinary matters. That is the title of the bill. In each university, you have a hospital for veterinary matters, like you have teaching hospital for human medicine. So you have a teaching hospital for veterinary matters in each university. That is the implication of the title. That's the implication of the title. So it's allowed to establish veterinary teaching hospitals of universities and veterinary specialists. So that is and that it goes further to show too that those hospitals we have their own board, as they have board for teaching hospital in our university. So the title is well expressive.
Yeah, quite a very laudable thinking for the country. But I thought these institutions are supposed to be tied down to the various institutions we are having. Say, for instance, if you are going to have one in Birnin-Kebbi, you should say this Birnin-Kebbi. Because the condition of service and then the operation atmosphere may not be the same with the one we are going to have in Umuleri or the one you will have in Lagos. There are variables that will come that will be different. I don't know whether that's the right procedure and approach.
Fine, Collective. What they are trying to do is that they have taken so many things into assumption. They've assumed that all federal universities are guided by the same rules, and that once you pass this particular bill into an act, it will now apply to all federal universities. So any further question, when you ask, MT will now clarify. But that is what it means, this bill. But the question now is, which we now ask MT, that can we make one omnibus law to cover all the federal universities? So that's the question you are trying to ask. So let him answer.
Okay. You see, the condition of service, operating what we may run into conflict of interest in terms of operating laws. For instance, if I have governing council for ABU teaching hospital, university, they take care of the entirety of what they are supposed to do. If it is a detachment of that particular system, of course, you have to create, just like we are now doing every day in terms of increasing the various universities. You now come to the floor, I want to establish university in my own community, we pass it, it goes through the second, third reading, and if it is deemed to be accepted, fine. But when you want to have something like this that is going to be all encompassing, I don't know, there may be conflict of interest between even the institutions that are maybe the parent institutions, because are you going to now detach ABUT University, those who are offering undergraduate from the postgraduate? How are you going to deal with the issue of discipline or staff promotion and the rest? Because the condition side will be clear to that of that particular institution.
Okay, let me first of all advise the deputy leader that consideration of the report at this level cannot be arrested. So take that. We are at this level, so this consideration can never be arrested. That is in our rule. So, but somebody at the second reading of this bill should have noticed this and raised it. Whether we can have an omnibus act that will now apply to all universities, particularly those owned by the federal government. Empty. Although we are still going to go ahead because its consideration cannot be arrested. So
yes, Mr. Chairman, I first and foremost want to concur with you that at this stage, consideration cannot be arrested. It has to proceed. But even answer to the question that he asked, the conditions of service is similar to all the teaching hospitals in universities that have faculty of veterinary medicine. They are all the same because they are public universities owned by the federal government, and therefore all the conditions of service are similar. There will be no conflict of interest, and as such an omnibus law like that can apply. Thank you.
Okay, before I finally go ahead to consider the clauses, which we will do, can the deputy leader, can you specifically point to an instance, especially within our university system, where you have obviously seen the difference in the act governing their system? Are there instances, at least for the purpose of education?
Yes, sir. I would say there is what normally happens, what happened in the case of the past. The only act that I know that is omnibus in terms of the entirety of the institution is one, the duties of principal officers, the schedule of principal officers. These are the one that you found they are under the 1992 act that was the last one that was done, and then later on passed through the parliament. Any other thing is peculiar to that particular institution, sir.
If you say that, because I'll come back to, if you say that, that means each time they go on strike, have they ever been found requesting for different things in terms of their condition of service? No. It has always been, I'm just doing this for the purpose of education. So, Pajok, has there been a particular...
Well, sir, like you rightly pointed out, maybe someone else were not on the floor when the second reading of this bill came up. Maybe we were doing some other duties. But sir, I want to draw, in answering your question, I want to draw an analogy between this bill and what happens or what obtains in the establishment of universities generally in the country. Each university, sir, is established by a specific act. There is no omnibus law setting up all the universities in Nigeria. That's why day in, day out, even the executive itself, when they want to establish a university, they will come to the parliament to give them the power so that we give them legislative backing. So, though we have said, and we are drawing an analogy again from the judicial system where courts say that you may not arrest a judgment. But sir, you also know, as someone who has been in courts and in tribunals, that even at this stage, fundamental issues of jurisdiction can be raised in court. So even this one now, we can raise this issue so that we don't take one step backwards and one step forward and 5 steps backwards. I think we should step down this bill, look at it again, so that we do not say we are only in a hurry because to fulfill all righteousness, only for the president to go and say I am declining assent because we have not done no right thing. I think it is very, very fundamental, sir.
Yes, I'm caught between rule and the doctrine of necessity that we are faced now. Empty. At what point did you think we can write an omnibus law to establish the teaching hospital for veterinary. Obviously something is wrong. But we are caught in between whether we can actually arrest consideration of a report or writing a law that is omnibus in nature.
Mr. Chairman, foreign members, after a second thought and listening carefully to the submissions made by Deputy Leader and also my learned senior, the learned SN, I think I would like to concur. Being a lawyer, it is better to err on the side of caution. So because of that, Mr. Chairman, honorable members, I will most humbly apply for this bill to be stepped down with a view to having a second look at it again, because I would like to most humbly and sincerely concur with the submissions made by the learned essay that every teaching hospital that is desirous of establishing a bill should come up with a different and distinct bill for its establishment, rather than having an omnibus bill that would cut across all the veterinary teaching hospitals. So in view of that, Mr. Chairman, I concur that this bill should be stepped down for further legislative scrutiny.
Thank you very much, MT, for applying and for advising us to err on the part of caution and to go ahead and do something that can easily be questioned. So this report is hereby stepped down for further legislative studies or legislative consideration rather, not studies. The next report to be considered is that of the House Committee on Tertiary Education. It is a report of the House Committee on Tertiary Education and Services on the bill for an act to establish Federal College of Education, Bringing Kudu, Jigawa State, to provide full-time courses, teaching, instruction and training, technology, applied science, arts, social sciences, humanities, and management, to establish Federal College of Education, Technical, Honor, Akwa Ibom State, to provide full-time courses, teaching, instruction and training in technology, applied sciences, arts, social sciences, humanities and management, and to provide for the establishment of Federal College of Education, Lisam, Taraba State, for the purpose of providing qualitative education in science, arts, social sciences, and other technical knowledge and for related matters. This bill will go the way of what we have just considered. Yes, it might be the same thing, Federal Colleges of Education, but cited at different locations. So for the argument that we have just had from senior lawyers and for honorable colleagues, Honorable Ndewole will now tell us why. Jarigbe, why did you match them together? Why did you match them? Why did you match the reports?
Chairman, I'm Honorable Jerry Bible. I'm representing the chairman of the committee. I think this, Chairman, I think we should step down the bill for further consideration.
So this report is equally, you can now come and do it one by one. It's not too much. So the report stepped down by the leave of the House. The next report is still of that of the House Committee on Tertiary Education and Services on the bill for an act to amend the University of Maiduguri Act, Chapter U10, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to specify the minimum qualification of the chairman of the Governing Council, ownership of intellectual property, and to provide for pre-action notice to the University Authority and for related matters 2017, House Bill 1107. And I call on Honorable Jaribe, who is standing here for the Chairman House Committee on Tertiary Education and Services, to speak to the report. It's an amendment bill.
It is a straightforward amendment to the Act. I implore the House to look at it and consider the report.
Yes, it's an amendment bill, and six sections of the principal acts were acted upon. Some amended, some retained, but in all, 6 sections of the principal act. So clause 1, retained, carried, 2, carried, 3, 4, 5, 6. Explanatory memorandum, long title of the bill. The next to be considered read report is still that of the House Committee on Tertiary Education and Services on a bill for an act to amend the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Bauchi Act, Chapter A1, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to specify the minimum qualification of the chairman of the Governing Council, ownership of intellectual property, and to provide for pre-action notice to the University Authority and for related matters. I now call on the Honorable Jaribe, who is standing here for the Chairman House Committee, to speak to the report.
The Right Honorable Chairman, this bill for them to amend the Act of the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Bauchi is to make it possible for the chairman of the Governing Council to have capacity to run the Governing Council. That's the purpose of the bill.
It's an amendment bill. Section 1 of the Principal Acts was sought to be amended, but it was retained, so carried. Section 5 of the Principal Act was amended and is presented in clause 2, so carried. Section 11 of the Principal Act was amended and is presented in clause 3, carried. Section 21A of the Principal Act was amended and is presented in clause 4, carried. I think that's all. Citation, explanatory memorandum, and long title of the bill. The next report to be considered is still that of the House Committee on Tertiary Education and Services on a bill for an act to amend the Obafemi Awolowo University Transitional Provision Act, Chapter 02, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to specify the minimum qualification of the chairman of the Governing Council, ownership of intellectual property, and to provide for pre-action notice to the University Authority and for related matters. And I invite Honorable Jaribe, standing for the Chairman House Committee on Tertiary Education and Services, to present the report, to speak to the report rather.
Right Honorable Chairman, the bill for an act to amend the Obafemi Awolowo University Act is for the same purpose the amendment was done to the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Act to build capacity and to make sure that whoever governs the University Council has capacity to carry out the activity. Thank you.
Yes, Section 1 of the Principal Act was considered and retained. Section 16 of the Principal Act was considered and is presented in Clause 2 as amendment carried. Section 28 4 of the Principal Act was considered and it was retained. Section 35A of the Principal Act was considered and retained. All these ones that are retained shouldn't have been presented in the reports. In case of next time, since they were retained, they were not supposed to have been presented in the final reports. When the bill was presented, those sections were mentioned as sections to be worked on. But having worked on the bill itself, those sections were retained. Since they were retained, they were not supposed to be presented in the final report. They could have presented those sections that were actually amended. Citation, explanatory memorandum, long title of the bill. The next report to be considered is still that of the House Committee on Tertiary Education on a report on the bill for an act to amend the Federal Polytechnic Chapter F17 2004 to establish Federal Polytechnic Malumfashi, Katsina State, to promote a planned and balanced economic development sustainable by applied science, technology and management courses, and to establish Federal Polytechnic Koko Delta State to provide for equity and access to tertiary education in the country, make comprehensive provision for due management and administration. This one will go the other way of the earlier one. It will step down and it will be worked on by rules and business to separate them so that they can be considered separately. So step down by the leave of the House. And finally, is a bill for an act to establish the Institute of Transport Administration of Nigeria. Who is the sponsor of this one? So this bill is stepped down. Leader.
Mr. Chairman, sir, respected colleagues, I rise to move that the House do revert to Plenary to report progress.
Empty.
Honorable Chairman, honorable members, I hereby second that the House do revert to Plenary to report progress.
House hereby refers back to Plenary to report progress. Honorable colleagues, the House in the Committee of the Whole consider the report on the bill for an act to establish the Charter Institute of Social Work Practitioners and to make provisions, among other things, for membership and control of the profession of social work and for other related matters, and approve clauses 1 to 35, the explanatory memorandum, the schedule, and the long title of the bill. The House in the Committee of the Whole consider the report on a bill for an act to establish the Institute of Transport Administration of Nigeria, charged with responsibility of advancing study, training, and practice of transport management and administration in Nigeria and for related matters, and approve clauses 1 to 23, the schedules, the explanatory memorandum, and long title of the bill. The House in the Committee of the Whole considered the report on a bill for an act to establish the Project Development Agency (PRODA) Enugu to conduct scientific, engineering and technological research aimed at facilitating the domestication and industrialization appropriate technology for socio-economic advancement of Nigeria and for related matters, and approved clauses 1 to 46, the schedule, the explanatory memorandum, and long title of the bill. The House in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on National Planning and Economic Development on a bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Council for Management Development Act, Chapter N 99 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Nigerian Council for Management Development Bill and for related matters, and approve clauses 1 to 25, the schedule, the explanatory memorandum, and the long title of the bill. The House in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Agricultural Colleges and Institutions on a bill for an act to establish university tertiary teaching hospitals, constitution of boards, etc. for related matters, and defer the consideration of the report. The House in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Education and Services on a bill for an act to establish Federal College of Education Special, bringing to Jigawa State, to provide full-time courses, teaching, instructions and training in technology, applied science, arts, social sciences, humanities and management, to establish College of Education Technical Honda, Akwa Ibom State, to provide full-time courses, teaching, instruction and training in technology, applied sciences, arts, social science, humanities and management, to provide for establishment of Federal College of Education, LISAM, Taraba State, for the purpose of providing qualitative education in science, arts, social science and technical knowledge, and for related matters, and defer consideration of the report. The House in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Education and Services on a bill for an act to amend the University of Maiduguri Act, Chapter U10 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to specify the minimum qualification of the chairman of the governing council, ownership of intellectual property, and to provide for pre-action notice to the University Authority and for related matters, and approve clauses 1 to 6, the explanatory memorandum, and the long title of the bill. The House in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Education and Services on a bill for an act to amend the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Bauchi Act, Chapter A1 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to specify the minimum qualification of the chairman of the governing council, ownership of intellectual property, and to provide for pre-action notice to the University Authority and for related matters, and approve clauses 1 to 4, the citation, the explanatory memorandum, and long title of the bill. The House in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Education and Services on a bill for an act to amend the Obafemi Awolowo University Transitional Provisions Act, Chapter 02 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to specify the minimum qualification of the chairman of the governing council, ownership of intellectual property, and to provide for pre-action notice to the University Authority and for related matters, approve clauses 1 to 5, the citation, the explanatory memorandum, and the long title of the bill. The House in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Education and Services on a bill for an act to amend the Federal Polytechnic Act, Chapter F17, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to establish the Federal Polytechnic Malum Fashi, Katsina State, to promote for balanced economic development sustainable by applied science, technology and management courses, and to establish Federal Polytechnic Koko Delta State to provide for equity and access to tertiary education in the country, make comprehensive provision for its due management and administration, and for related matters, and defer the consideration of the report. Leader.
Mr. Speaker, respected colleagues, I ask to move that the House to adopt the report of the Committee of the Whole. I saw.
Empty.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I hereby move that the House, I hereby second the motion by the leader that the House do adopt the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader.
Mr. Speaker, sir, respected colleagues, I like to move that the House do adjourn to tomorrow, Wednesday, 17th, 11 a.m. I so move.
Empty.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I hereby second the motion for adjournment as moved by the leader of the House.
The House stands adjourned till tomorrow, Wednesday, 17th of April 2019, 11 a.m.